Testing, testing. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Tristar Gym channel. Today's episode, I'm doing Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards, the pre-fight analysis video. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Everybody in the chat room, welcome. Please make sure that the sound is correct. Give me that thumbs up as usual. You know me and technology don't mix very well. Okay, guys, thank you for those thumbs up. Sound is good. Fantastic. Okay, guys, quick analysis. I'm going to give you guys my quick analysis of this fight. And after that, we can open up to comments and questions on the fight. And then after that, I probably want to talk about a little bit about Gordon versus Pena, the match we covered together in the last episode. And then after that, move on to any fight you guys want to talk about, any competition after that. Kamaru Usman, in my opinion, is going to win. I'm giving him 60-40. Actually, you know what? Make it 65-35. I'm very confident for Kamaru Usman. I just rewatched their fights, all of them together, and especially after watching Leon Edwards versus RDA. And Leon Edwards did a fantastic fight and a fantastic strategy against RDA. However, my whole thing, when I watched the entire both fighters fight, I believe that Leon Edwards, and I rewatched their first fight, of course, I believe that Leon Edwards is backing up to the fence way too much. And if he backs up to the fence on fight night, which I think he will, after seeing RDA being able to back up Leon Edwards, and I'm a huge fan, guys, I want to say I'm a huge fan of Leon Edwards. Okay, he's a phenomenal fighter. He's on a 7-fight win streak, a 6 or 7-fight win streak, actually. Let me check that out real quick here. Let's see how many wins he has so far. He's a phenomenal contender. Okay, phenomenal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 wins since he lost to Kamaru Usman. 9 wins in UFC. 9 wins. He lost to Kamaru Usman in 2015, guys. That was 7 years ago. Still, I think Kamaru is going to win. Why? I think Leon Edwards and Kamaru's fight, in the first fight with Kamaru, he backed up to the fence, cost him the fight. I watched this fight with RDA. It wasn't too long ago. I watched this fight with Nate Diaz. And I felt, we all saw the 5th round. Those of you who didn't see that fight, it was a great fight. Leon Edwards controlling the fight from A to Z, except for the 5th round. The 5th round, Nate Diaz comes alive, puts the pain on Leon Edwards with a amazing 1-2, like a slap hook one into a cross, catches Leon on the chin, and Leon's backpedaling, and the fight just ended with Leon fighting hard to stay alive. Even though he had a almost flawless fight till then. Diaz was busted up. He was looking amazing. However, he was in the pressure cooker with Diaz. And 25 minutes with Diaz, what Diaz did in 25 minutes, Kamaru's going to do in round 1 and 2. So all that pressure that Diaz put, and Leon started to break in the 5th round, that's going to happen in round 2, round 3 of their fight. Because Usman puts on so much more pressure than Diaz. Okay, when Leon was fighting Diaz, he was kicking his leg, he was jabbing, he was enjoying a speed advantage. He had a speed advantage against Diaz. I don't think he's going to have the speed advantage against Kamaru. I don't think he's going to have the reach advantage. Not that he had the reach advantage with Nate, but he's not going to have the speed or the reach advantage. So what's he going to do? I think he's going to back up, and backing up, he's going to get put under the pressure cooker. Usman hits really hard, and he wrestles really well. In my opinion, that's going to be the fatal flaw. Now, can Leon Edwards win? Of course he does. Of course he can win. Of course, he's a phenomenal fighter. He's on a 9-fight win streak in UFC since their last matchup. I could be totally wrong, of course. How could Leon Edwards win? Well, number one, he has phenomenal striking, especially his elbows. He has very dangerous elbows. That's impressive. His submission game, I'm looking at his, I can't remember him doing a sub in UFC. I'm gonna look real quick. Decision. Rear naked choke versus Albert Tumunov. Decision. He's big into decisions, guys. Here we have UFC punch, first round 8 seconds versus Seth Brzezinski. That's actually a really good fighter. Split decision loss against Claudio Silva. Look, he has very little finishes in recent history. Okay, his last 9 fights, I think they're all decisions. Let me look that up again. Decision, decision, decision. Look, they're all decisions except the one rear naked choke against Albert Tumenov. He's unlikely to KO Usman. He's unlikely to KO Usman. Usman's never been KO'd, and he's fighting a guy who doesn't really KO people. Can he win a decision against Usman? Unlikely. Very unlikely. Can he sub Usman? Unlikely. His jiu-jitsu is good, but he's not a sub wizard. So in my opinion, guys, I really feel that Usman's going to put the pressure cooker on him. He's going to hurt him with strikes. There's going to be back and forth with the strikes, but then once Leon backs up to the fence, this is what I think is the fatal flaw of the fight. Once Leon Edwards backs up to the fence, he's going to get hit more often and he's going to get taken down. And we've all seen Kamaru's pressure on the fence. It's phenomenal. We've also seen Usman evolve. They've both gotten better, but Usman especially. Usman recently fought Kobe Covington. And of course, we all saw that fight. The second fight was a decision. Just double check here. That was in 2021, November of 2021. Okay, so he's fresh off a win. When you're a champion, you should be fighting once or twice a year, not more than that. And we saw his evolution from their first fight. The first time he fought Kobe Covington, it was really, really close. It was 2-2, really tight. Most people had it 2-2. Most people, not everybody. And then he ended up finishing Kobe Covington in the 5th. And if we were all Kobe Covington fans, we could argue that it was a premature stoppage. If we were, I don't think it was, but if we really wanted to argue, it's a little bit arguable, but still, it was still a 10-8 round easy for Usman. He wins regardless. In their rematch, Usman showed so much evolution. His jab, his boxing, his kicks, his wrestling. Okay, he did get taken down in the... I know that UFC did not count it as a takedown, but Kobe Covington did successfully take down Usman. But also, Kobe Covington got stuffed many times. Kamaru showed incredible defensive wrestling, which we're not surprised. Nobody out there is surprised. That's just to say that Leon Edwards doesn't have a lot of good options to take him down. Leon Edwards has to strike, is what I'm trying to say. Now, unlikely to knock out Kamaru, very unlikely to take him down, and of course, very unlikely to submit him. How can he win? Decision? Unlikely, guys. Those are my thoughts. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm going to keep it simple. Those are my thoughts. Kamaru has evolved. Leon Edwards has evolved, but Kamaru has evolved even more. Okay, guys, let's see here. All right, here we go. Guys, just a quick note. Tristar Digital is now live. If you guys want Tristar Digital, go to jujiclub.com. You'll find it there. Tristar Digital is up there. And of course, jujiclub.com. If you guys want to get 25% off, type in Kamaru25. The link, it's in the description. Check it out because my pick is Kamaru. So I'm giving you guys 25% off on anything on Juji Club. Okay, with that said, guys, let me hear what you have to say. Coach Zahabi, I love you. That's from E-Dog. E-Dog, thank you, my dear friend. Right back at you. But give me some comments and questions on this fight. And then, of course, we'll move on to talking about maybe Gordon Ryan and Pena. It should have been a draw considering Usman should have gotten a 10-8 in the second round. I don't know what you mean by it should have been a draw. I'm not sure which fight you're referring to. Okay, I see you guys are talking about the first fight with Kobe Covington. Look, it could be, you could argue either way, guys. But at the end of the day, if you watch the fight as a whole, Usman was the better fighter. He beat Kobe Covington both times. I know that you can argue with the judging, but at the end of the day, they had a rematch, and nobody's arguing after the rematch whether Kobe won. Everybody knows Usman won. He's the better fighter. Leon is very fast. That will be a key factor in the stand-up. That's from MS. MS says Leon is very fast. You're right, he's very fast, but so is Kobe Covington. Kobe Covington is very fast. He throws a lot of flurries. He landed his best shots against Usman, and he's also kind of a decision guy, very similar to Leon Edwards. And what happened? Kamaru marched him down, weathered the storm, and fired back some powerful strikes. Don't forget, he knocked down... I rewatched it, but I didn't count how many times. He knocked down Kobe Covington 3 times, 2 or 3 times at least. You know, he hurt Kobe bad. His power is shining. You know, he has a lot more power than Kobe or Edwards. So speed is a factor, yes. but I don't think he's going to have much. I don't think he's going to have that much of a speed advantage. And I think Kamaru has the reach advantage. So it's going to kind of nullify itself out. Kobe won the last 3 rounds of the last fight with Usman. That's from ABDQ. ABDQ, I think you're probably the world's biggest Kobe Covington fan, because that's really not the case. Kobe lost that fight hands down. Zahabi, will Kamaru evolve to a new style to be detriment, giving his wrestling less now? That's from Cameron Newman. Cameron is asking, has his new style made it a detriment to him? No, I don't think so. I think his striking has evolved, and it's a good thing because it's going to make the takedowns easier, and he doesn't necessarily need the takedowns all the time. So he's less predictable because now he's relying much more on his striking. Now, don't forget, when he fought Kobe Covington, he needed to wrestle. He needed to box. Why? Because Kobe's going to be really hard to take down, okay? Now, when he fought Gilbert Burns, he probably didn't want to take Gilbert Burns down too much, because if he doesn't hurt Gilbert and gets on top of him, Gilbert could be very tricky on the ground. Obviously, he's a very, very seasoned jiu-jitsu guy. Even we saw Khamzat didn't want to stay on top of Gilbert Burns. It could be tricky. You could find yourself in a lot of trouble. So what did Kamaru do? He used a lot of his striking. In this case, however, I think he's going to be more than happy to take Leon Edwards down. So look for him. I think he's going to strike a lot and also get a lot of takedowns, body locks on the fence, picking him up, throwing him down. Kind of similar to what he did to Tyrone Woodley. Tyrone's not the best fighter off his back. Okay, put him on his back. I think he's going to have that sentiment in the fight. Of course, I think he'd be happy to put Kobe on his back. However, putting Kobe on his back would have been very difficult. So I don't think he needed to try. Coach, could you talk about the co-main event after? That's from Panda Cat. Panda Cat, actually, yes, because I'm really excited about the co-main event. Luke Rockhold versus Costa. My goodness, I can't believe I'm forgetting his first name. Somebody write Costa, not Costa. What's his first name again? Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa, forgive me. I don't know why I had a blank there. Paulo Costa going up against Luke Rockhold. Guys, I hate to say it, but I think Paulo Costa is going to win. Not that I have anything against the guy, but he's been busted before, and I'm not going to talk about that right now. Sidestep that. I think Luke Rockhold is a very tough fight, and I would be happy to see Luke Rockhold win. However, I just feel that Paulo Costa is so dangerous. We've seen Luke Rockhold get knocked out a string. How many times has he been knocked out? Now, let me just double check here. I'm remembering 3 times in a row, but that might be wrong. Let me just quickly double check. Luke Rockhold has been knocked out several times in his career now. Let me look that up real quick. Luke Rockhold, former world champion, killer fighter, amazing guy, but then just went on a horrible losing streak. The guy's a phenomenal puncher, great grappler, amazing skill, reach, athleticism. The guy's got it all. He got knocked out by Nick Rodriguez. Pardon me. He lost to a grappling match, Nick Rodriguez. Sorry, that's topology. Nick Rodriguez, one of the top grapplers. Blachowicz. We all remember the Blachowicz knockout. It was just shocking knockout. A horrible knockout. Yoel Romero, my goodness, that was a scary knockout. Luke Rockhold backs up to the fence, gets crushed by an overhand left. Devastating. Beat David Branch before that, and then also got knocked out by Michael Bisping. So in the last 4 fights, he's been knocked out 3 times. Okay, so it was 3 times, 3 KOs, not 3 KOs in a row. He did have a very big win against David Branch. Okay, so Paulo Costa, guys, for those of you who are not familiar with him, for those of you guys who are not huge MMA fans, you're just jiu-jitsu fans kind of tuning in, he's got devastating power, devastating KO power. He had a fight with Yoel Romero, which was very, very close, controversial, whether he won or lost, very controversial. They gave him the win. Paulo Costa got the win officially. However, the fight was very, very close. Even me, I can't decide who won. I would have been happy with a draw. Very close fight. I know MMA math doesn't work. Just because Paulo Costa beat in a very, very close fight that could have gone either way. Just because he beat Yoel Romero in that type of fight, and Yoel Romero knocked out Luke Rockhold, doesn't mean Luke Rockhold's going to lose against Paulo Costa. Okay, MMA math doesn't work. We could find many examples where MMA MMA math doesn't work. However, what I'm saying is when you have a power puncher, it just seems like Luke Rockhold has not done well against power punchers. And I believe it has a lot to do with his lean. He has a type of lean. When he leans, he's exposed to overhand rights and overhand lefts. Both. He leaned against Bisping. He leaned against Yoel Romero. Blachowicz, I don't remember him leaning that much. I'd have to look it up again. Actually, let me look at that Blachowicz knockout, excuse me. I remember doing a breakdown for Yoel Romero Rockhold, and I was I remember saying in the podcast, I remember saying in the pre-fight analysis that Luke Rockhold has a really bad habit that he does that I think his coaches are going to fix way before the fight. So I thought I was very confident he won't get knocked out because they're going to fix it. They spotted it. Lo and behold, he did the same mistake with Yoel Romero. He got knocked out again. The same thing. The thing I said I don't want to mention because I think it's not going to be a nice thing to say. It's not a proper thing to mention. He did the same exact mistake. And he got clipped again. He got knocked out again. It's when he leans back. He leans back, exposes himself. There's ways to lean back, guys. Yes. Watch who's a good leaner? Bobby Green is a great leaner in UFC. He leans, he rolls his chin under the shoulder. If you roll back and your chin is exposed and you lean back, because tall fighters like to lean back, of course, because they're taller. They need to hit you from a distance. So they need to create that space all the time. Every time the shorter guy tries to walk forward, I have to lean back, create that space so I can hit you at the end of the stick, right? I don't want to smother my shot. Now, I'm watching the Yoel Romero Luke Rockhold knockout, and he did the same mistake. There are ways to lean. You can't just lean. Leaning, you have to lean in a specific way. It's hard to explain. I have to demonstrate it, but I just watched the knockout now. It's exactly what I remember. Now I want to see the Blachowicz. Yeah, this is it. So he tried to throw a counter hook, got caught. Let's see the Blachowicz now. Now that I see the Blachowicz, I want to see if he did the same mistake with Blachowicz. Sometimes I watch so many fights. Sometimes I conflate the two. Which knockout happened which way. Now I want to see. I remember that Yoel Romero error because I remember doing a breakdown before that fight saying, look, I'm sure they're going to correct this error. They won't let it happen again. No, the Blachowicz knockout was off a clinch. I'm watching that now. Boom, it was off a clinch. It was not a lean. But look, that just goes to show now. He can get really hurt in the fight. Can he take these shots? I don't think he can. I think these shots are very, very difficult. And I know Blachowicz is a light heavyweight, but he has to cut weight now. He has to cut weight. When you cut weight, he's such a big guy. Like, can he make the weight? He's older now. Like, there's so many questions that you won't know the answer to till fight night happens, So I'm assuming this fight's at 185. Excuse me. This fight going to be at 205. From what I remember, because if I'm remembering correctly, Paulo Costa did not make weight last time around. So this should be at 205. Somebody please put it in the comments. That's right. He fought Marvin Vettori, didn't make weight. Now I think the UFC is pushing him up to 205. I think Luke Rockhold at 205, I like it better. I think it's more natural, but still, I don't know if his chin can hold up, guys. I just don't know. I don't know. For me, very difficult fight to call. It's at 185? No way. This is at 185. Ouch. If Paulo Costa makes the weight at 185, man, he's going to be hard to beat. He's going to be very hard to beat. No, I didn't know it was at 185 because usually sometimes, guys, when you miss weight, especially when it's a main event, I believe the Vettori fight was a main event. I can't remember. Listen, I remember training. I trained with Vettori before this fight. We were in Vegas together. We worked out a little bit together. We were talking about this upcoming fight. And, excuse me. It was right after the fight. And he was telling me about how he missed weight. We were together in Vegas training, and he was talking about how he didn't care that Costa missed weight and he was going to beat him anyway. I remember him talking to me about the fight. If sometimes you don't make weight, UFC will push you up a weight class, guys. Make no mistake about it. UFC takes making weight very seriously, as they should. It's a very serious thing to miss weight. Now, I don't remember how many pounds he missed by, but I remember it was like 4 pounds, something ridiculous. Missing weight by 4 pounds, guys, you better have a great excuse, man. You better have like a fever going. You better have something. You better have like... listen, I'll tell you, there are few good excuses that have happened. Like, for instance, Once upon a time, a fighter's flight got canceled. They couldn't get him in the country until like 3 days before the fight. Carlos Newton was fighting, I'm forgetting, a Brazilian fighter, and the UFC couldn't get him in. They had every flight canceled. I can't remember what it was. I think like there was like a volcanic eruption somewhere, so many flights got canceled. By the time they finally got him in the country, it was like very difficult for him to make weight. For those of you who don't know, you come in on Tuesday on a fight. Tuesday is the latest you can come in. You better have a good excuse if you don't come in on Tuesday. Why? Because the UFC checks your weight on Tuesday. You have to be within strike range of making weight. So fighters check in on Tuesday. Now, of course, you have to acclimatize to the new area you're in, whatever country you've traveled from, etc. But the UFC wants you to check in on Tuesday. If you're 25 pounds overweight, they're gonna freak out on you. Now, very few fighters have a good excuse. And sometimes it can happen, guys. Sometimes a fighter who meant well always makes weight, misses weight because there's a good excuse. Like, for instance, the Carlos Newton, he came 2 or 3 days before the fight. They made a catch weight, if I remember correctly, because it's impossible for him to make weight. The guy cannot cut weight on a plane. He cannot cut weight in a different country than fly in a weight cut. It's very difficult, okay? Sometimes fighters are sick. They have a fever, this and that. They're trying to hide it. And like, I'm telling you, I've seen so many crazy things. However, if you miss weight and you don't have a good reason, like UFC will push you up a weight class. Okay, guys. Drinking wise was the excuse. We've all heard Paulo Costa's famous excuse. He said when he lost to Adesanya, he was drinking wine the night before. I hope he wasn't drinking wine the night before the weigh-in. That I really hope. Paulo missed weight by 20 pounds. That's from No Face. I don't think it was 20 pounds. It can't be 20 pounds. Impossible. 20 pounds would have been 20 pounds. People are saying 20 pounds. That can't be right. Let me Google that. Because if that's correct, I don't know how I could forget something like that. Paulo Costa misses weight. It cannot be 20 pounds. 20 pounds, I don't think they'll let the fight happen. Let's see here. The bout has now been changed to a lightweight bout to 205, which has the first. Could he have missed weight by 20 pounds and they put it at 205? That's not impossible. Okay, Costa reveals why he missed weight. Refuses to apologize. Paulo has revealed why he missed weight by almost 20 pounds. Holy moly. God, I wasn't at that show. And he feels no reason to apologize for it. Costa is now on a 2-fight losing streak after his defeat to Vittori on Vegas 41. Oh, goodness gracious. 20 pounds. That's impossible. Goodness gracious. He reveals why he missed weight. Let's see here why he missed it. I don't see his excuse here. Injury to his left bicep. My God, I can't believe a fighter missed by 20 pounds. That's insane. They must have moved it to 205. Guys, honestly, I haven't watched that fight. I will watch that fight eventually. I wasn't there at that event. I must have been at another event. And I did not watch that fight yet. Vittori told me all about it. Actually, I heard it from him firsthand. I have to go back and watch that fight definitely because it's a Vittori fight. But missing weight by 20 pounds, that's absurd. I can't even understand the article. Why he missed weight. Bicep tear, that makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. It's absolutely insane. I heard him say he ripped his bicep. That's from Brandon Harrison. Well, if you ripped your bicep, you're canceling the fight. Doctors won't let you fight if you have a torn bicep. So if you're not, first of all, if you have a torn bicep, you could still run, you could still air down, you could still make weight. That's irrelevant. You could still make weight. Tearing your bicep doesn't stop you from making weight. Okay, guys, my pick for Luke Rockhold and Paulo Costa. I think it's going to be Paulo Costa, guys, but I hope Luke Rockhold surprises us all. I hope. Okay, I got a super chat here. Is the plan weight cut actually that difficult? Dan Hooker did it quite easily and still made weight after it landed. Yeah, Dan Hooker missed flights, etc. Look, it's not that easy. It's just really difficult to cut weight in an airport. And like, imagine you have to go through your weight cutting process, and you're bouncing around at different airports, and you're in your hotel room. Like, you're not sure if you're gonna fight. You're not sure if they're gonna get you in on time. You're not sure if their commission's gonna allow you. Like, it's just tough. It's not impossible. It's just really, really tough. Like, I can understand somebody misses weight. Because think about it, you don't have when fighters cut weight the week of the fight, they have all their food prepped. They're going to the market. They're getting food with they're on a particular diet. Like, if you don't have the access to that diet, if let's say you're in an airport, you're in a hotel room where they're not set to accommodate you. What are you gonna eat? Usually fighters are gonna eat proteins and greens. That's it. They're gonna eat meat and greens usually the week of the fight. Very little carbohydrates. Like, it's just complicated. Like, the guy's not organized. He can't be organized. He was planning to be at UFC on Tuesday. Like, unless he knows ahead of time, it's gonna be something very difficult to figure out in an airport. Okay, guys, what else we got? Like Rockhold said, he can't face adversity. That's from Alex Chu. I hate to say that he can't face it. Look, the guy's a professional MMA fighter, for God's sakes. The guy was in there with Adesanya, and Adesanya was shredding his leg, and he wasn't showing it. Like, I could tell you, every time Adesanya kicked his leg, my legs were hurting. Like, those were really hard leg kicks, and Costa took them well, and he moved forward. Now, he didn't have the skill or the ability or the power or the timing to catch Adesanya. But man, did he do his best. Man, did he truck forward. He took a beating, guys. He took a beating, went out on his shield. He got knocked out unconscious. You can't will against that. But did he take those kicks like a man? Yes, he did. So I can't say he doesn't face adversity. He absolutely does, because he ate horrible leg kicks and kept moving forward. His corner, from what I understood, they were egging him on, keep going forward. And he obeyed those orders. He moved forward, even though his legs were getting shredded. Thoughts on Mirab versus Aldo. Guys, I haven't analyzed those fights. So that's a really interesting fight. Guys, I never like to count Jose Aldo out, but I think he might have seen his best days. Okay, so if you guys read between the lines, I think he might have seen his best days. Do you think Aldo can become champion again? That's from No Face. Yes, it's possible, but just very difficult. Very difficult. Like, I mean, I know Sterling is fighting TJ Dillashaw. Those are two hard fights. Fighting Peter Yan again, I think those are hard fights for Aldo to make. Very hard. Okay, guys, Charles Oliveira and Islam, I'm going to make a special podcast just for them. So I'm going to skip this one today. Guys, I've already told you many times on this podcast, I think Islam Makhachev is the uncrowned champion of the lightweight division. I don't think anybody can beat him except Khabib. I think those are the two best 155ers. Number one is Khabib. Number two is Islam Makhachev. That's the order I have it. Oliveira was stripped of his title, so in my opinion, he's the uncrowned champ. I thought even when Oliveira was champion, I thought, look, there's Oliveira's champion, but I still think there's one guy better that's active today, and that's Islam Makhachev. Okay, but I want to do a full breakdown on that fight. Why am I saying this? Why am I saying this? I think it's going to be a fun episode, so we'll leave it for another day. Okay, guys, so I think we're done with the Usman fight. I just want to take your vote, guys. Give me a tally. Usman or Leon Edwards. Put their initials. Who you think is going to win? Kamaru or Leon Edwards. Put it in the chat room. I want to see what you guys say. I think there's going to be a lot of people think Kamaru. I think Kamaru. I think he's in his prime. I think he has ways to finish. I think he win a decision. I think he could take this fight in many different directions, and his pressure is just too much. That's how I see the fight, guys. Let me know your votes in the description. Kamaru Usman. I see a handful of Leon Edwards. Guys, I have a lot of respect for Leon Edwards. I have a lot of admiration. I just don't think this is the fight for him. I think he's going to lose this fight, but he's going to come back stronger. He's going to come back in a win streak. And one day, Leon Edwards, guys, I should say this. I think one day Leon Edwards will be champion. Guys, please mark my words. I think he will be champion. Just not this weekend. I think it's too early for him. He'll come back with a vengeance, and he'll have a time where he'll be the best, possibly. Just not this weekend. Okay, guys, what else we got here? have a chat from Dre Foreman. Dre Foreman, it's not time for the philosophy or ask me anything, absolutely anything. Now we're still talking about the fights. Let's wrap it up and I will circle back to your questions, my friend. It's Kamaru. I just don't see Edwards getting enough wrestling training in the UK. That's from Deshi Basara. That's also a very good point. You know, like there's not that much wrestling in the UK. Phenomenal boxing, kickboxing, Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, it's all there. Wrestling, not as much. The UK. I just came back from the UK, guys. By the way, I just came back from the UK. And guys, I've been traveling like crazy this last 2 months. So now I have a few weeks here before I go back to Dana White's fight night. I'm excited. It's my first Dana White, what do they call it, show? Not fight night. Dana White's, what should I call it? What do you guys call it? What's the Dana White show again? Dana White's, I forget. Anyways, and then after that, I'm UFC Paris. I'm really excited for these 2 trips. Dana White's Contender Series. Yes, very good. Guys, I haven't watched it. The last thing I started watching was The Ultimate Fighter. Now, I've watched the fights of Dana White's Contender Series. I like to watch the fights, but I haven't watched the show. So when they post the fights, I like to watch it. When they post it on YouTube for free, I like to watch those. But I have not watched the actual seasons. I'm sure it's really cool. I'm married with kids, training twice a day, traveling, guys. I just don't have time for too much TV. But however, I do like to watch the fights, so I'm familiar with a lot of the fighters. Coach, can you please talk about Top G Andrew Tate? Guys, let's save Top G Andrew Tate for a little bit later. I would love to talk about Top G Andrew Tate. I want him on this channel, actually. I want to have a discussion with this gentleman. He's a big influence on my children. Like I told you guys in the last episode, one of my sons walked up to me and told me that I want to be a top G and I'm going to retire at 16. And I was like, what's this boy talking about? And then I realized he's following Mr. Andrew Tate. Now, I've come across Andrew Tate videos. You cannot not come across one of his videos. They are everywhere. I think he's right about a lot of things, but I also think he's wrong about a lot of things. Okay, so I have a mixed view. I think he's a likable person. I don't have any problem with him. I have no beef with the guy. I like to have him on this channel because I think we can have a very, very interesting conversation. So absolutely would love to, if anybody knows how to contact him, I absolutely love to have him on my channel. Okay, what else we got here? Contender Series. Yes, Contender Series, guys. Pardonnez-moi. Pardon me. Big mistake on my part. Contender Series. Coach, time to musk up. We're going to have to wait on that. Time to musk up wants to know about why Americans have lost control over the women. Plenty to say about that, yes, but we'll save that for a little bit later. Let's wrap up the Kamaru Usman, Rockhold, Paulo Costa. I think we've pretty much... wrapped it up. I think everybody in the chat, usually I do fights where I think are neck and neck. I don't like doing fights where I think it's lopsided, and because it's just not as exciting. Okay, and I don't want to say that Leon Edwards is not an exciting contender. I love to watch Leon Edwards fight, and I don't think I'll ever miss a Leon Edwards fight from here on in. Okay, because he's put on a 9-fight win streak in the UFC, guys. That is incredible. I just don't think he's at his peak. And he'll get there. He'll become world champion, like I said earlier. It's just not now. Alex Morgan, Tristar Blainville, coach. That's from A-Ad. Thank you, my friend. That's really sweet of you. Yes, one of the fighters is now going to be on the Contender Series. And I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, guys, let's open it up to anything. Absolutely anything. Go ahead. Let's ask anything. Let's talk about absolutely anything. What do you guys want to throw out there? Mr. wants to talk about Andrew Tate, Top G. Ask me any question whatsoever. I think the guy, listen, he's not a dumb guy. His father was a chess player. He says he was a world champion kickboxer, ISKA. It's legitimate kickboxer. He's smart. He's very smart about women. I'll tell you guys something. MMA fighters, it's not uncommon that they have women trouble. It's not uncommon. I'm telling you, it's very, very common. And the reason why is because MMA, professional MMA, especially at the highest level, it takes so much time and energy. MMA fighters spend so much time and energy prepping for fights. They train 6 days a week, twice a day. It's such a full-time job. It's crazy what they do. And the relationship, the family life often takes a back seat. That's why you see guys who have a family life or a relationship, it could be very difficult. Now, you've all heard Paulo Costa now he's made his girlfriend his manager. Now, guys, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you think that's a good idea. If you think it's a good idea, put a thumbs up. If you think it's a bad idea, put a thumbs down. We've all heard that he parted ways with his old manager, Walid Ismail, a famous world champion grappler. Now, I don't know a lot about their dynamic. And hired his girlfriend as his full-time manager. I'm interested to see, what do you guys think? Is this a good or a bad thing? I got a couple of thumbs up. More thumbs down, more thumbs down, more thumbs down. Well, guys, it's a way to involve your significant other in your life. Now, she's interested in your MMA career. When she's not involved, I got a lot of thumbs down, a lot of thumbs down. When she's not involved in your MMA career, well, she's always on the back burner. She's feeling neglected, etc., etc. You're in training camp. You're so focused. When you have a fight date, all your attention's on your fight date. You forget about the needs of your partner. You're in another place. Then you win your fight. You're so famous. You're on TV. Everybody's talking about you. Your significant other could get a little jealous. So many people around you. You're so important. We're getting no attention. Oh, when you come back, sponsors want to talk to you. Oh, you have another fight book. You're on vacation. You're doing this. You need time. Whatever it may be. Fighters get themselves in trouble all the time. Now, Paulo may be feeling that pressure. And he's like, hey, let me put my girlfriend as my manager. Now she show up to practice. She's talking to people about me. Her whole life is me now. However, my question is she an experienced negotiator? If she's not, that can cost you a pretty penny. There are better ways to go about it. So in my opinion, might not be the smartest thing unless she's an experienced negotiator. Now, I know nothing about her. If she's an experienced negotiator, I could be completely wrong. But generally speaking, putting your girlfriend as your manager, not the best move. Hey, brother, I wish I knew you were at Henzo's last week or so. We could have met finally. That's from Rich Finaldi. Rich Finaldi, I would have loved to meet you, my friend. Yes, I was at Henzo Gracie's a couple of weeks ago. I haven't been since COVID, which was years ago. So I was so happy to be at the Henzo Gracie Academy. I can't wait till the next time I'm in New York. I'm definitely going to be training there again. Absolutely. Okay, guys, we got a super chat here. This is from Ishmael. Can you speak on the current state of the economy? Michael Saylor steps down as CEO of MicroStrategy. Michael Burry predicted offshoring of manufacturing jobs. White House changes definition of recession. That's from Ishmael. Guys, I hate to say it, but I think the economy is going to look a little bit bleak. I hate to say it. Now, there's a word I can't mention that starts with the letter C and ends with ID. I can't say that word because I got in trouble. So you guys understand what I'm talking about. Cough, cough. Ever since that thing happened that lasted 2 years and messing with our lives, Canada went totally insane, in my opinion, my view. And the government threw a $500 billion. Look this up, okay? The Canadian government threw $500 billion at it. $500 billion at the problem that I'm not allowed to mention because I'm flagged currently. I have a warning. They're going to check this channel down. They're going to take the coach off. They're going to put me in a black hole somewhere. So you guys understand what I'm trying to say. $500 billion. The Canadian government threw $500 billion. Now, Canadian dollars are not like American dollars. American dollars are sought after by everybody in the world. You can spend American dollars anywhere in the world. Americans did very similar things. So they threw the money at the problem. In my opinion, it's more politics than sensibility. And I wish I could elaborate on that, but I'm scared to get flagged. And it created inflation, recession. There are a few people who are going to get rich off this. There are many people I think are getting in trouble. I saw an article in the Canadian newspaper. It said 3.5s are now $1,500. Like, this is new. It's reached a new threshold in this area. So rent is going up. Homelessness is going up. People can't afford rent, so they're going to, like, government housing is up. They said up 40%. Like, people can't afford their mortgages or rent anymore. Scary, guys. Really, really scary. Canada used to be the 5th happiest country in the world. Almost every year, back to back, like every year. We're in the top 5. We're in the top 6, top 7. Now I think, let me look. I think we've dropped to 9. Let me look it up. Let me look this up. Happiest countries in the world. Okay, top 10. Let's see here. We're in the top 10. Finland, happiest country in the world. Let's see where's Canada. We used to be number 5. Now it's Netherlands, Switzerland, Iceland, Denmark, Finland. Okay, we're not in the top 10 anymore. Canadians, you are no longer in the top 10. Let me see here. What are the most happiest countries? 20 happiest countries in the world. We better be in the top 20. Let's see here. Guys, the great critique against socialism is that it doesn't last. Canada is a socialist country. Okay, we are 15th. We are, I guess, 9th. Okay, now Israel is 9th. I guess 9th. I was wrong. We're 15th. It's worse than I thought. United States 16th. United Kingdom 17th. Guys, we have slipped the slippery slope. Now, where was I here? The Canadian economy, very scary in my opinion. Look, guys, inflation is good for people who have assets. The politicians have assets. They own homes, they own buildings, they own estates. They own a lot of stuff. When there's a lot of inflation, those items become worth more and more. Now, we own these buildings. You guys can only rent. At the end of the day, they want to make us all renters. They want us to own nothing. Like they say, you guys type this quote into Google. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That's their plan. In my opinion, I believe it's true. Why? Because they want their family. Look, our prime minister, his name is Trudeau. Our airport is called the Trudeau Airport. His father was prime minister. Like, the Trudeau family is rich, hella rich. They want to keep it that way. They want to have intergenerational wealth. All the Trudeaus will be rich for 1,000 years. This is the plan. How do you do that? You gather so many assets. And you make these assets so expensive, it's unattainable, that people can only work around you by paying you. You want to go on this land? Well, you want to build home? I own this land. I own everything here. I own these estates. Oh, you want to live here? It's rent. I own. You guys rent forever. You need to live somewhere. They're not making more land. These properties are going to be mine forever. This is the center of the city. These are the prime. This is prime real estate. It's going to be in our family forever. Why? They're too expensive for anybody to buy. Nobody can buy in this area no more. So it's intergenerational wealth. They asked Trudeau straight in the House of Commons, how much did your estate go up since COVID? Since they call it just inflation. The conservatives call it not inflation. Justin Trudeau, they play on the words, just inflation. How much did it go up? He wouldn't answer. I think he would have to say, to be honest, he would have probably said 30%. So his estate went up 30%. Imagine you're worth $100 million and then tomorrow you're worth $130 million. Well, I'm happy. It's a good year. This was a good year. I think 30% is conservative. I think, if I would be really honest, I'm trying to be conservative so nobody says, Coach, you're exaggerating. I think it went up 40%, his estate. The market went up 40% during COVID. So I think it's bleak. I said a word I shouldn't have said. I think it's bleak. I think the economy's a little bit, it's on a slippery slope. However, I think people are waking up because Canadians are getting frustrated. They're seeing the cost. I see articles in the news now. It says, articles in the news, Canadians now have to decide whether they want to pay their rent or their groceries. Which one is it? That's insane. That's insane. I think Canadians need to wake up, protest, get angry, get upset with this situation. And this is unacceptable. This is, in my opinion, it's unacceptable. They're destroying the future of our youth. So I feel very strongly about it. I'm a little bit scared to talk about it because if I get into too many details, I'll probably get reprimanded again. Okay, guys, what else do we have here? Resist. I didn't vote Trudeau. Justin can punch. Guys, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, used to train in my gym. He used to train in the gym. So can he punch? Look, he's an amateur boxer. I don't fault him for that. I mean, the guy's Prime Minister. He's not trying to put together a professional boxing career. However, he's trained boxing. It's an admirable thing. But I just don't agree with his politics. Now, I have nothing against the man personally. I don't want you guys to think I hate the guy personally. I don't know if he's being honest with his positions. Or is he doing that for his personal gain? Or did he really think that thing out there that I can't mention because I'll get in trouble was so dangerous? I don't know, man. I really don't believe it. He was wearing that thing over his face, which I can't mention again. In the country, as soon as he went abroad, he would take it off publicly. He would take it off. He's no longer wearing it. Why? Why is it so safe out there? But for us, we're the most vaccinated people in the world. Shouldn't have said that word. Yet we have to wear that thing. Anyways, what am I talking about? I got to change topic. I am Talibul. I'm so travel a lot and constantly move to different countries. This makes committing to one gym impossible. How should I pursue BJJ in the most efficient way? 30-year-old white belt. My friend, Talibul, I recommend go to jujiclub.com, get the basics. Get the basics videos, volume 1 to 7. It is the greatest basics program in the world, bar none. It's advanced basics. I don't care if you're a white belt or a black belt. If you watch this video, I promise you're going to pick up gem after gem after gem. Each video is runs a little bit over an hour. Each video, every minute is a gem after gem after gem. Basics I've been doing for over 20 years, studying with the best of the best. That's how you get good fast. In my opinion, you get the basics down right, and then everything else is on top of it. But if you don't have good basics, you have technique gaps. I refer to it as technique gaps. You're in a roll, you're doing good, then you have this technique gap. The guy finds it, he beats you. We want no technique gaps. So you have to have your basics. Okay. So in my opinion, that is the best way, guys. I believe Tristar has the best beginners program in the world. And I have no doubt it's true. Check out jujiclub.com. Volume 1 to 7 is the curriculum. That is the curriculum we use. We have a basics class literally every single day. I'm a big believer in basics. A guy comes in, I want him to be good in 1 year. I don't want to wait 5 years for him to get good. I want him to be good in 1 year. Monday through Saturday, he has basics class every single day. If he comes 3 times a week, he has 3 basics class. If he comes 5 days a week, he has 5 basics class. When he graduates basics class, he's training directly with me. And he's learning more advanced stuff, but he can understand what we're teaching him. He knows the basics. He can follow the class. It's not a problem. So I'm such a huge believer in basics. We literally have 3 jiu-jitsu classes a day, including wrestling. And one of those classes every day is a basics class. And it's simultaneous with the advanced class. So they have a different section in the mat with a different instructor. And they have an exact curriculum. We know exactly what they're learning. They have to learn these. I haven't counted the move. There must be like 100 moves to learn. Literally about 100, I would say. After that, you know your basics. You should be a blue belt now. You're ready to compete. You're ready to go out there. You're ready to do your stuff. Please talk about Leandro Lo, self-defense problem with sport of BJJ. We need to train for a real fight. Thank you. Well, look, that's from T, guys. T, I think means well. I don't think he's well informed. T, Leandro Lo, guys. First of all, I want to extend my condolences to the Lo family. For those of you who haven't heard, Leandro Lo was murdered a few weeks ago. Actually, I did want to make comments on the Gordon Ryan fight. I will be doing that, but first I want to pay my respects to the Lo family. My deepest condolences to the Lo family. Leandro Lo was murdered, I believe, just like one day or before the Gordon Ryan fight. Now, of course, for those of you who don't know, Pena and Leandro Lo were very close friends, very, very dear friends. A lot of these guys grappling in these tournaments know each other very well. They train together. They compete against one another. They know each other very, very well. They've grown up on the circuit together. They might have wrestled each other in tournaments. You know, I know they're not the same weight class, but in the past, like it can be if you go like. But they've trained together. They know each other well. It's very, very devastating for the BJJ community. Everybody knows Leandro Lo. He's a legend in Jiu-Jitsu. He was actually once upon a time scheduled to come and train at Tristar, to come and teach and help us out. He's very, very good friends with one of my dear friends and mentors, Jiu-Jitsu mentors, Mirab Santana, world champion, one of the best Jiu-Jitsu guys ever. He used to come to Tristar a couple of months at a time and train us Jiu-Jitsu. You know, he's one of the top black belts to do it. Very good friends with Ryan Hall. All these guys know each other very, very well. Mirab Santana was inviting Leandro Lo to come train with us at Tristar. He had accepted. It fell through like a couple of days before for whatever reason. I can't remember. It was many, many, many years ago. But I remember looking very much forward to training with Leandro Lo. He's known for his passing, phenomenal guy. Actually, one of the few guys to ever beat Gordon Ryan. He beat Gordon Ryan at BJJF World Championships. He's a phenomenal, world-class legend in Jiu-Jitsu. Now, from what I understood of what happened a few weeks ago, he got into a fight with a guy who's an off-duty officer. The guy came back to shoot him with a gun. From what I understand is Leandro Lo kind of took him down, got on top of him. I'm not sure how much damage or what Leandro Lo did, but the guy came back later to shoot him and killed him. Okay. Guys, I believe it happened in Brazil. If you guys know Brazil, it could be a rough place. Okay. Now, I have a feeling that the violence is not going to end there, but that's a topic I don't want to get into. I just want to say, I want to give my deepest condolences to the Lo family. I hope they find the strength to deal with this horrible situation. Now, Pena, dear friends with Lo, 24 hours later is matching up with Gordon Ryan. Now, Gordon Ryan, guys, I did a breakdown on that fight. Gordon Ryan versus Pena. I picked Gordon Ryan. I said, guys, John has been training Gordon Ryan to fight no time limit since day one. John Danaher is the only guy out there who's been, not only trains his guys for competition, IBJJF style, sub style, Abu Dhabi style. Like the practice room is catered around the style of the tournaments they're going to. He also always was preparing for no time limit matches when there were no time limit match events, really. They were not really, like, they were once in a blue moon. Like Pena versus Gordon Ryan, no time limit, that's insane. I wouldn't have accepted that. If I was Pena, I think that's a trap. Like, how could you accept that? John Danaher has been prepping his guys for no time, and I love no time limits. I think a main event like that, no time limits, was a dream. Like, what an epic battle. Guys, when we were kids, John used to tell us all the time. He used to kind of like give us thought experiments. If you put two guys in a room, you lock the door, there's no time limits, there's no points. Who comes out? Why? You have to give him an answer. You'd have to, like, he'd make us think about these things. That's why when they said it's no time limit, I was like, guys, there's no way he beats Gordon. There's just no way. Now, for those of you who didn't see the match, which I'm sure most of you did, Pena at 45-minute mark, roughly, quit verbally. Now, things were not going so well. Like, you could see he's starting to break. But was it because he lost his friend 24 hours earlier? Nobody could say that, oh, no, that has nothing to do with it. Nobody should say that, okay? Listen, for those of you, as you get older, you lose friends and family. It could be very devastating. Very, very devastating. Guys, I don't want to name fighters who I know who lost somebody because I find it might be disrespectful. But I know fighters who it's happened to them. They just lost a loved one. And it was like weeks before or days before their fight. And they decide to continue on with the match. How could that be? I'll tell you why I think that is. I think when people die in your life, at first you're in a state of shock. Most people will go first into a state of shock, disbelief, denial. You guys know recently one of my trainers passed, one of my dear sweet trainers that I've been training with since over 20 years. Ajahn Peter Sisomfu. May he rest in peace. A dear friend and mentor of mine. It happened not long ago, a few months ago. It was very devastating for me. Very difficult thing. And I was in a state of disbelief as well. Shock. Then acceptance. All the phases, the classical phases. But I think also competing, and I don't want to name names, guys, but generally speaking, it always ends up in a bad performance. And I think that the fight date or competition gives them a type of escape because I'm going to be so busy. I'm going to be in the competition. I'm going to be so preoccupied that I won't think about it. It's almost a way of like escaping dealing with the death of somebody you care about, which can be very difficult to do. So I totally believe, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but I totally believe that Pena could have been very much affected by that. Could have been very much affected by that. However, I still think Gordon would have won. I just think it would have took a lot longer. Now, I'll tell you something. At 45 minutes in, I told you guys, if the match goes 5 hours, Gordon is still not going to slow down. He is so efficient, guys. John Danaher is working on sustainability, efficiency. He's been thinking about these things for 20 years. He's not just out there wrestling. Gordon's not just out there wrestling. He's building up. He's building up. He's building up a type of like vicious cycle that you're trapped in till you burn out, till you break mentally and physically. 45 minutes is nothing for Gordon Ryan. I'm telling you, if you roll 5 minutes and you're tired, imagine what he's doing. He's doing 45 minutes. I know sometimes people roll 2 rounds in a row and they're like, I'm so tired. Guys, imagine you're going 45 minutes. Imagine Gordon was ready for a 12-hour roll. I don't think Penna was. Penna comes from IBJJF where it's a lot of like score, stall, score, stall. There's a rhythm, and the time is running out, and a lot of those matches are won via decision. Not all of them, of course. There's a lot of finish by sub. However, the hardest matches, the top matches, are often won by decision. So what does that mean? You're going against one of the greatest finishers of all time, and this guy's been prepping for no time limits rule. Even though there wasn't no time limits real competition, like there's not many of those. I think Gordon Ryan was a brown belt when he did his no time limit match with Keenan Cornelius. He was a young brown belt against one of the top black belts at the time. And the reason why they were so confident is because John's been prepping him since day one to do no time limits. Now, why did John do that? There was no time limits. There was no time limit. There was no such matchups available at the time when John was doing that. I think personally it's because John just wanted that style of jiu-jitsu. Like, hey, our jiu-jitsu doesn't just work in these rule sets. It works in MMA. It works in IBJJF. It works Abu Dhabi rules. And it works in a fight to the death. I think that's John's type of deep dark. And I'm the same way because he taught me that way. Like that's why I always refer to my jiu-jitsu style. It has to be universal. Like, does that technique work in gi, no gi, MMA, and also self-defense? If the answer is no, I only want 20% of those techniques. I don't want those to be the core moves. This is a very important concept, guys. Think about 2 things. Okay? Let's do a thought experiment, a fun thought experiment. Imagine we have a jiu-jitero, lover of jiu-jitsu. Let's call him Fighter A. And Fighter A, he does a lot of deep half guard. He does a lot of like berimbolo. He does a lot of sleeve gripping, spider guard, stuff like that. He does a lot of sports style jiu-jitsu. Fighter B, he does a lot of like close guard. He does a little bit of De La Hiva. He does some spinning stuff, but those are just like, those are not the core moves. He does armbar triangle, omoplata. He does hip heisting. He does double leg. He does body lock. He does snap down. He does all the stuff MMA guys do, wrestlers do, and jiu-jitsu guys do, but he's always looking for the common thread between them all. You put those 2 guys in a gi match, they're gonna have a very tight match. I don't know who wins. Maybe both of them, they're both up to winning. Both guys can win. You put them in a no gi match, I'm telling you Fighter B is gonna win. Why? Because he's used to MMA techniques, wrestling techniques, and his jiu-jitsu techniques that don't rely on a gi. He's winning. Put them in an MMA match. I guarantee you Fighter B wins. Put them in a street fight. Now I can't be more, I'm so confident Fighter B wins. So what did Fighter A accomplish in his career? He trained for all these years. Collar chokes, worm guard, all these crazy things that relied solely on the gi and you not punching me in the face. Why did he choose that path? I think he chose that path because he didn't think about it beforehand. Now, John was very adamant. Like, if you're going to do 8 hours of worm guard this week, he was going to ask you, why are you doing that? Why not do this guard? That guard will serve you in these other elements, in these other environments. Whereas worm guard only protects you in one particular environment, but there are choices that are just as good. There are other choices that also will protect you in gi and will be efficient in gi. Why did you didn't think about it? You just saw worm guard is cool and I'm going to do worm guard. Okay, so in my opinion, that thought process is really the backbone, of the new wave / death squad, Danaher death squad. Like, he thought about it. He's organized his techniques. Now, of course, he's a major influence on me. I do much of the same thing. I think it's super. I'm more even engrossed into the MMA world. So I think even I've changed around the selection. I've really experimented with it. And I think, no, these are the correct, this is my point of view. And these things are very important. Why? Because you don't want to teach guys too much jiu-jitsu and then they go in MMA and it backfires. Their jiu-jitsu backfires on them. No. We want the groundwork to excel, but it excel in all the dimensions. Okay, so this is a very important characteristic in the Danaher Renzo Gracie / line of jiu-jitsu. Very important distinction. Okay, guys, after that, what else is there here? Lots of chats here, lots of messages coming in. Coach, you missed my super chat. Let me go up. Coach, any advice on rehab for sprained MCL from BJJ? Thank you. That's from FZ. FZ, what beautiful initials. My brother, get strong and stable knees for life. It's all in there. Guys, check out the strong and stable knees. I did strong and stable shoulders. It's been released. Strong and stable knees is a gem. Make sure you get strong and stable knees. Guys, I'm 42 years old. Never had, thank God, I hope it never happens, ACL injury. Do strong and stable knees. That's all I can say, guys. It's a gem. Coach, I feel like when I strike, my elbows are too wide. I'm super lengthy, and any drills to develop a habit to keep my elbows in. That's from Sam. Sam, you know, when you have your elbows out, that's because you're protecting head kicks. If you look at the Thais, they put their elbows out. They're protecting against the head kick, and they're baiting you to kick the body. So when you kick the body, they trap that leg, and they crush you with it. It's more boxing that they have the elbows down. Okay, so if you're a Muay Thai fighter, don't worry too much about it. If you're more of a boxer, it's a major problem because you're going to get your ribs broken. Okay, so I think shadow boxing in the mirror and keep correcting yourself until you see your elbows very tight to your body. If you're a boxer, if you're not a boxer, it's not that bad of a deal, not that big of a deal. Coach, I feel like I have more success sparring with experienced fighters opposed to amateurs who throw wild and spaz. Any tips on how I can pick apart these guys, mindset, etc.? That's from Sam Satowski. You know, it's very interesting you say that, Sam. It's so true. The common mistake fighters make is they only want to spar with the best guys. Guys, you have to spar or roll or wrestle with every level. Every level. Why? Like when I spar with every level. I spar with a guy who's only been training for 1 year, and I spar a guy who's been training professionally for 20 years. Why? Sometimes you're fighting in the pro ranks, and you get this one guy in your division who's like this freaky, like he never learned how to punch properly. He kind of learned, you know, from a less experienced coach, and he has these bad habits, but however, he's very good. He's been watching fighting a long time. He has good timing. He started training young. He has all these other great assets. Yet, mechanically, he's very bizarre. A great example is Khabib. Khabib's punching mechanics are not great. However, his striking is great. A lot of people tell me, oh, he's not a good striker. You're wrong. Look at his career. He's always done very well in the striking department, save maybe 1 or 2 fights where, yes, he won the fight, but he got tagged. He's shown, look, he's the only man to ever knock down McGregor with a strike. Name me another guy. Even Mayweather didn't knock down McGregor. Mayweather got a standing TKO, but he never flattened McGregor with a punch. And round 3 was a lot of striking with the McGregor-Khabib fight. And Khabib, I had given it to him. When I was watching it live, I had given it to him. I then saw that the judges and a lot of the fans gave it to McGregor. Okay, it was still very tight. McGregor, arguably one of the best strikers to ever do it in UFC. Khabib, a very tight round. Now, of course, a lot of you are going to say, well, coach, he wrestled him. Yeah, that's true, he wrestled him. But still, his striking has shown to be very effective. I'm not saying he's a slick, super mechanically sound boxer. No. I'm saying he's effective. Being technical and effective are 2 different things. Okay, so what I'm telling you is sometimes you get a guy who has some bizarre mechanics. That's why it's throwing you off, because you're not used to seeing those mechanics. Now, that's why I always say it's wise to spar with every level. Spar with a guy who's more beginner. He's going to throw something weird at you. He's going to throw something jerky and spazzy, and all of a sudden you're going to be able to brush it off. It's just a question of sparring at those levels, because whatever you don't see often is going to surprise you. That's my advice. You know, I think it's a real huge mistake that a lot of people do. They just want to spar with the elite all the time, which is wrong. This is from Dre Foreman. Mr. Dre Foreman asks, could you speak on Quran, dreams, and fitra? Now, I think most people don't even know what those words mean. Okay, Quran is the Muslim holy book. Dreams, when you sleep, you dream. And fitra. Fitra is a Muslim concept, which means your how can I say? There's no equivalent in English, but it basically means your inner primordial religious belief that you are born with. Okay, that's how I could describe it for you. This innate sense within us. It's innate sense, you're born with it. The Quranic perspective is very unique in this sense, is it tells you, look, people say all sorts of things. At the end of the day, you were born with this within you. You know already. You already know. You don't have to have anybody tell you. Now, it doesn't mean we don't have preachers who teach us. No, we absolutely do. Absolutely. However, the core knowledge, the most important thing is known innately. The most important is already known innately. It's a very special concept, and I'm not doing justice here. But basically speaking, every human being, that's why, people, I like to debate atheists all the time. And I don't believe atheists exist. I don't believe anybody's truly an atheist. I think deep down inside, they all have this core belief. I don't think there's anybody out there. I think they're only atheists in appearance. They're at the end, if you let me cross-examine them, they believe in something. And I've never cross-examined an atheist unsuccessfully on this topic. And I'd love to do it. If anybody out there has a famous atheistic podcast and wants to invite me on, I'm happy to go and chat, friendly chat. I'm not a very adversarial person. I like to talk with people, in an academic way. I don't understand why people, when they have discussions online, they immediately bring out anger and insult and aggression. When you go to university, if you behave that way, they kick you out of the classroom. Like academia is like, it's polite, it's friendly, it's kind, it's courteous, generally speaking. I don't know why people resort to almost like verbal fighting. It just makes no sense. Now, Dre, you're asking a very interesting question. Now, here's a very famous question in philosophy. And a lot of you guys are going to hate this, guys. But this is something that's truly, truly important in philosophy. The question of, how do you know you're not dreaming? Many great thinkers, guys, it might sound like a joke. When I heard this one in philosophy school, I was like, why are we wasting our time with this question? I thought it was absurd. What an absurd question. Of course I know I'm not dreaming. I just know. Then after trying to give one answer after another, and all my answers were proven wrong over and over again, I start to realize, hey, wait a second, I really got to think about this. Now, it sounds like an absurd question. Believe me, when I was in my 20s, I was thinking this is the dumbest question ever. Now that I'm in my 40s, I'm thinking, this is the smartest question ever. Guys, now that I'm in my 40s, I look back at my 20s. I think that guy was a dummy. Me in my 20s, very green. He doesn't get it. He's going to get there, hopefully, but he ain't there now. Okay, so when philosophers, we get into a room, and I'm going to call this small circle type philosophy. Why? Because very few people will get to this level. And we literally try to explain to one another why we believe this is currently not a dream. And we have no good answer. Guys, I've searched. I've asked the wisest men. I've read writings from the top thinkers in history. This is a type of obsession. I study philosophy every single day. Every single day. Hours. Like, it's insane what I do. And I'm telling you, no great thinker has ever given an answer. We have some answers, but they're lame. They suck. They're horrible. Other philosophers just like, that's a cop-out. It's weak. Zaif. We cannot tell the difference between dream and awake. Now you're going to wake and say, Coach, I woke up. I know yesterday I dreamt I was skiing. I know it was a dream. Ha, ha, ha. That's absurd what you're saying. What philosophers are saying is like, when you were skiing in your dream, when you were in a deep dream, I'm not talking about a lucid dreaming. I'm talking about when you're deep in a dream and you're skiing in those slopes, you're going down. So in that time, you don't know you're dreaming. Okay, we could all agree. We've all had a dream where we thought we're being bitten by a bee, and we wake up slapping the bee, and that was just a dream. But in that moment, you were slapping that bee. You didn't want to get stung. You believed, right? This is what the philosophers are saying. And again, this is small circle philosophy because most people can't even hear this. They hear this, they run away. Okay, but Dre, he's pulling us down into the pit, and he wants to know. He wants to go into that dark room. Philosophers say, in that state, when you were skiing down the slopes or when that bee was biting you and you woke up scratching that and you were trying to not get bit by that bee and you're beating that bee off, and then you woke up, hey, wait a second, that was a dream. That's what they're talking about. They're saying, look, there are times where we're in a state of dream state that we call it, and we have no idea that this is not current reality. It's not a reality. How do you know that right now you're not dreaming like that? That you're not going to wake up and say, hey, I was just dreaming, I was listening to a podcast, but really I wasn't. How do you know? You don't know. You never know. And believe me, there is no logical way. I've asked all sorts of people, and I've got all sorts of, sometimes people ask me this question, and I ask them, okay, well, tell me, how do you know? And one person I remember giving me the most bizarre answer. He was just like a layman. He was just a guy I worked with back in the day, and he's like, oh, I'm going to ask my brother-in-law. He thought his brother-in-law was the wisest man he ever met. He was a young kid, and his older sister was married to this guy, and he thought that his brother-in-law knows everything. He knows everything. So much. My brother-in-law knows so much. He's always bragging about his brother-in-law. And one day he was asking me these questions, and I was like, well, because people don't know whether they're dreaming or not. And he's like, what do you mean? Oh, really? I'm going to ask my brother-in-law. And his brother-in-law gave him an answer. His brother-in-law told him the most ridiculous answer. He's like, oh, well, if you're in a dream state and you're not sure you're dreaming, all you got to do is touch water. If you touch water, you're going to poof, wake up out of your dream. You'll know. You'll know. That's absurd because, I was like, well, you could be dreaming you're swimming. You're immersed in water. He's like, I've seen the most horrible answers. Now, you have heard people say, pinch me, am I dreaming? They hear amazing news. They win an election. You're president of the United States. The president might say, is this real? Pinch me. Am I dreaming? I've had fighters after a big win. Am I dreaming? Is this a dream? Is this real? Am I going to wake up like they're in a surreal state? Pinch me. Am I dreaming? Why? Because generally when you're in a deep state of sleep and you feel pain, you'll wake up. So if you burn yourself in your dream, generally you'll wake up. Right? So some people think that pain is a good, like if I hurt myself and the pain does, I don't wake up, that means I'm not in a dream right now. I'm in a state of reality. However, that's negated by you don't always wake up, because sometimes you could be dreaming, you're skiing down the slopes, you broke your leg, you're in the hospital, and I dreamt that my great-grandfather from back in the day, he came and he visited me, and he was young, and you can have a dream. It's not impossible to hurt yourself in your dream and the dream continue. So pain is maybe a good indicator, but not a great one, okay? Because we can dream of pain and keep dreaming. So there's just no great indicator. Now, he's referring to, how does that refer to the Quran? Now, Muslims, we're very similar to Christians, and we're very similar to Jews. And you guys should know this, okay? Because there are many Muslims and Christians. Even if you're not religious, you should know these basic things. You should know everything about every people, because you want to be a cultured person. It's very important to be a cultured person. One day you're going to have a friend, he's Muslim. You're going to, I understand a little bit about you. Me, I'm interested in every culture because I want to know, where's this person from? What worldviews do they have? How is their experience? What is their life like? In the Quran, we're very different than the Christians in one sense. Very different. See, the Christians, their religion is very similar to ours, but there's a major difference. There's one major colossal difference. Is that they believe that one particular event in history is it's going to make or break your fate. They say that God became a man. He was incarnated. So God, wherever he may be, became a man, came on the earth, onto the earth. And he died for your sins, my sins, and everybody in the past and all that. He died for everybody. He was so sinless and so important that when he died and resurrected, he proved that he has the keys to life and death. He's proven to the world that, hey, death is just a thing for mortals, but I can make you immortal. So this event, if it didn't happen, Paul says famously in his writings, if it didn't happen in history 2,000 years ago, your faith is in vain. You don't. All your prayers to Jesus, they're worthless. This is what Paul is saying. Okay, not me, not my opinion. And scholars write about this. They say, look, this is what he meant. He's saying that if this event didn't happen 22 years ago, actually there's a 4-year discrepancy, but let's call it 2022 years ago. If that event in history did not happen, then you're done. You're finished. Now, Islam has a very different paradigm. Very different paradigm. Islam believes in the same prophets. We believe in Jesus. We have the same, we have afterlife. We have we have paradise. We have hell. Very similar to Christianity. However, the Quran constantly tells you that, hey, you weren't there for the flood of Noah. You weren't there for what happened to the Christ. Anybody who says they know what happened, they're in total, they're guessing. They have many doubts. Okay, it's worded a bit differently than what I'm saying, but they're full of doubt. They don't know. They're trying to conjecture. They're trying to guess. They're trying to put the piece of the puzzle together, but there are too many questionable pieces. There are too many maybes. We don't know who wrote this. We don't know who wrote that. Oh, this one turned out to be a forgery. Oh, this turns out it's proven to never happen. Oh, the Romans never wrote about this. If this really happened, the Romans would have picked it up. There's so many conflicting, never-ending books being written, never-ending clues being found, never-ending clues being turned over. Found out that this clue is actually fake. Oh, no, this one we thought is fake is real. The landscape is constantly changing. I was just listening to a documentary recently, and one historian put it beautifully. He said, look, history is fiction. It's what people think happened. It's not what happened. Don't think we know what happened in the past. It's just people's version, and we take the guy who was most popular. That's it. We don't know what really happened. There's constant conflicting reports. Constantly. And history is not an exact science. History is not mathematics. Like a historical fact, guys, is a weak type of fact. In epistemology, how we know things, the most important facts is intuitive. Number two, Islamic epistemology will say intuition. Number two, everybody agrees. After that, we agree the highest is mathematical or analytical facts. Things that are true by definition. Think mathematics, okay? Then three is empirical facts, biology. Empirical facts, or not history. Empirical facts can be observed over and over again, okay? It's repeatable. Scientific facts are repeatable. If it's not repeatable, it's not science. History is not science, guys. History is not repeatable. As of now, history is not repeatable. JFK murder, we cannot repeat it and go and study and put our measuring tools and see how many shots there were, exactly how the bullet traveled. We cannot do that. It happened once, it's done, guys. That's it. Whatever clues you have, that's it. That's it. That's it. There's nothing else. Unless something surfaces in the future, we cannot repeat the event. Empirical facts are repeatable. After empirical facts, scientific facts, then we have historical facts, which are, guys, you're scraping the bottom of the bowl here, the bottom of the bucket. So historians know that tomorrow we can overturn this history. New clues will be found. Like, I'll give you a for instance. They said, oh, Christopher Columbus, he's the first man in America. That's not true. Then they find spearheads. They say, no, wait a second. The Norwegians, the Scandinavians were here 1,000 years, maybe not 1,000 years, but long before. Oh, the Asians went from the other direction over the ice caps. They were here long before Christopher Columbus. Actually, Christopher Columbus only made it to like the Caribbeans. He never made it to the Americas per se. Depends how you want to define the Americas. Okay, I think Caribbeans qualify, but he never made it to actual mainland. Let's call it the mainland. But I still think it's still a discovery of America, in a sense. But he's not the first man to come to the Americas. That's not true. We overturn history over and over again. New clues. You find these spearheads. These spearheads were made at this date. This is how they must have got here. Boom. We overturn history. New clues tomorrow can change our history. So what our good friend Dre is asking, how does this all glue together? The Quran is telling you, look, you believe in Noah, and we believe in this by authority. Somebody told you, but you weren't there. So it's a history that's being passed down to you, a tradition that's being passed down to you, a history. However, the Quran is telling you, look, there is something that you do know, and that's within, a fitrah, etc., which I'm not going to get into now because it would be too long. This thing, nobody can make you doubt. It's not going to be overturned 10 years from now. We're not going to find a new evidence. There's not going to be a new perspective. Oh, we found out this was a fake, or new interpretations. No, this is never going to change. This is within you always, all the time. You are born with it, you will die with it, and it will always be with you. This is the difference between Christianity and Islam. We believe in the same God, we have the same many rules, the dynamic, very similar, extremely similar to Christianity. However, the Christians base their religion now on a historical event. That's it, period. If you talk to the modern day consensus of Christians, and I know Christians differ on many, they'll tell you, look, if you don't believe in this event, that it happened like this, you can't be saved. As a matter of fact, if you believe in this, and it doesn't matter what you did in life, just so long as you believe in this event, historical event, then anything you've ever done is forgiven. You just have to believe in this event. It's like, what a deal. What a deal. But how could I be honest and say that I know what happened 2,000 years ago? How could I be honest and say? I don't know. I wasn't there. It's way too long ago. We look at the evidences. For those of you who haven't studied the evidences, I mean, they're steeped in controversy en masse. So the Jewish religion was not based on history. Some argue it might be a little bit based on history. Yes, there's a lot of history in the Jewish Bible. It's not what I'm saying, but your faith is not, the core of the religion is not based on a historical event. Now, of course, in the Torah, they talk about how they had many witnesses to the miracles of God, etc. Yes, I understand that. But nonetheless, they still have the idea, in the tradition of the Jews, they have the idea of Beni Noah, meaning you're born with this inner faith, similar to Islam, very similar. Christianity, which came after Judaism and before Islam, kind of took us on a different route, and Islam comes and brings us back to this route and says, look guys, you're already born with this religion, just go back to it, revert to your natural religion. And there's lots more to say about that, but this is the key factor. How does this play into dreams? He asked me specifically about dreams, because if you're being completely logical, if you are so logical that you'll accept only what is logical, this is a very, very small circle we're here. All you know is you're jumping from one world to the other. That's it. All you really know is that every night you sleep, you jump into another world, and you wake up into another world, and then you sleep again, and you go. All you know is you're transitioning from one world to the next. That's all you know. And in every world, there seems to be a continuity. Every world. So let's say tomorrow I'm dreaming, I'm skiing down the slopes. We talked about, hey, I'm skiing. In that dream, I'm not telling myself, hey, I just popped into this dream. What am I doing on these slopes? No. That dream has a backstory. Even though I was just immediately popped into this dream. Like, for instance, imagine right now I'm doing a podcast and I have a memory today of going to the gym, rolling, coming back home, having lunch, resting, going back to the gym, rolling. Imagine those memories were just implanted in my brain. Imagine I was just created right now. Poof. I was created literally 5 seconds ago with the memories of having eaten. I ate a lentil burger for lunch. And the lentil burger is still in my stomach, but I never ate it. It's just a memory of eating the lentil burger, and a eaten lentil burger has been put into my stomach. So if anybody would open my stomach to verify if I eat that lentil burger, it's there. The contents of my stomach is there. But I was just created 5 seconds ago. I'm created as if I'm in the middle of the story already. And I'm implanted with memories about having these experiences, but those experiences never happened. I was just put into this state right now. I'm built into it. When you're dreaming, there's a history already built into the story. You could be skiing and remembering what you ate for breakfast that morning, and it could be part of your dream, part of the story. You might be chatting with somebody, oh yeah, I had the best donuts in the world for breakfast. But really, that was just a memory implanted in your brain. You didn't eat donut for breakfast. You're just talking about eating. And what if that guy's sitting next to you? It's a wacky dream. And he says, you know what? Let me open up your stomach. And he opens up your stomach and he finds the donut. Well, that donut wasn't eaten. You popped into that dream with the donut already, the remnants already. You know what I mean when I say already. Figuratively, in the dream state. So if we were perfectly logical, and perfect logicians would not trust their memory, they would say, look, how do I know these memories are real? So look, guys, the people who go this far in skepticism are crazy. We're all insane. Yes, we are insane. Skepticism has made us crazy. But Dre's on that path. Dre's going to lose his mind eventually, probably. Maybe. Not lose his mind, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, you're having this type of conversation. Most people think this is insane. But people who are fascinated with logic, crazy people like us, very few of us, but we're so curious about logic. If I keep pulling on the string, what rabbit hole am I, where does it go? I'm so curious. Like, if you have that curiosity, you're just learning because you want to know. Because I don't think there's a pot of gold. I don't think there's going to be a sale at the end of this. There's not a money transfer. Maybe there's a different type of richness. There's a wisdom or an intrinsic value, something incredibly to marvel at and feel incredible. Maybe there is, but I don't even know. I'm just so curious. So we pull on the thread and we pull, and everything that has a doubt, we suspend it. And then we find that, look, there's an actual state of human being. There's a state of human mind where you come to realize that you're just hopping from one dream to the next. Now, if you read in the Quran makes a direct statement to this. It says, look, when you sleep, God takes your soul. This is what the Quran tells us. Takes your soul. When God takes your soul, like, where's he taking you? He's taking you in this dream state. God controls your soul. Muslims, when you sleep, it's like a little death. Like, we train our minds. Every time we sleep, it's like, that's how it's going to be when we die. Think about it. When you're really, really tired, you're excited to sleep. You're happy to sleep. I tell my kids, go to sleep. But they want to live. They want to party. They want to have fun. There's a time for sleep where sleep is good. We see death like this. There's a time to die. Death is good. It's not going to bring us in evil. See, in the West, we're so bombarded with death is evil, death is evil, death is evil. You want to avoid death like death. You want to avoid death like the plague. You want to avoid it. So what happens? You freak a guy out. Every time he hears somebody die, he's tormented. Every time he thinks about his death, he's tormented. He cannot even enjoy his life now because he's so tormented with the idea of dying. But in the Muslim mind, every night you sleep, you accept that this is a little death. This is how it's going to be. I accept it. Actually, not only I accept it, I desire it. There's a time for me, like I say, look, it's late enough, man. I'm tired. It's time to go to the next. And this is a psychological training because every time we wake up, we say, oh, look, we're born again. We're born anew. A new day, a new chapter, a new opportunity. And it's this cycle. So the Quran is encouraging you to go into the cycle. What happens to you when you sleep, when you have the little death? Trust in God. He takes your soul. And look, you see this world and you wouldn't know. You don't know that this world is a dream. You're living an experience. This dream narrative comes only after you wake up. And then you say, oh, that was nothing. Okay, now the Quran actually flips the script. For those of you interested in what it says, look, actually the Quran tells you, look, now you're actually in a sleep state. When you die, you're going to wake up and then things are going to feel real. Right now, me, you, we're all in a current dream state. We're going from a dream to a dream. We're just constantly dreaming with this one continuous, seemingly dream, which is like what you would call your daily life. When you die, the real one, the ultimate death, you're going to be awakened, not death. It's the opposite. Think about Copernicus. Everybody told Copernicus, it's the sun going around the earth, you dummy. All the great thinkers in the past said that. All the great thinkers, very few disagreed with the great thinkers. Very few. Now some people say, no, they knew the earth was revolving around the sun, even in Aristotle's time. Guys, that was a minority opinion that was ridiculed. One day I'll tell you guys a story about why Aristotle thought the sun goes around the earth. It's a fantastic and inspiring story. The man was a genius. Like, he had incredible arguments, which I'm not going to get into now because it's a tangent. But everybody in ancient times believed that it was deadly obvious that the sun goes around the earth. All you have to do is look up. The sun is going around the earth before your eyes. You look at the sun, it's there, and 2 hours later you see it's there. Look, it went around us, man. Like, how complicated is it? Your eyes. Like, if you saw a bird fly across you and somebody said, it's not the bird, man, it's you. You're on this conveyor belt. Like, you'd be like, are you crazy? Are you insane? Like, this guy's a dummy. Somebody shut this guy up. Like, nobody will listen to you. Okay? Now, in every era, there's going to be a guy who's going to say the opposite of what's mainstream. Like, for instance, some people claim the earth is flat. They're insane. Yes, they're insane. Okay, we don't agree. Just like the people who said that it's the sun going around, the earth, the people who said in the ancient times that it's the sun going around that it's the earth going around let me scratch that. Pardon me, guys. In ancient times, if you said no, it's the earth going around the sun, you were the flat earther of the times. You were the guy who's too dumb to understand what's going on here. It's so obvious that it's the sun going around the earth. Obviously, ultimately proven false. In ancient times, it was a no-brainer. It's the sun goes around the earth. That was the paradigm of the day. I mentioned on the Rogan show when I was on it. I said, guys, we were so sure about that. And then we turned out to be wrong. Copernicus comes and flips. It says, no, guys, it's totally backwards. That's what we sometimes call a Copernican revolution. It's so revolutionary, guys. Not only you were wrong, you had it completely backwards. And if you ask any philosopher of science, it's inevitable. It's going to happen again. This type of revolution is going to happen again. I said this on the Rogan show, and the internet was freaking out on me. This is established, accepted. This is established, accepted thinking in philosophy of science. It's so, like, if I stood up in a class, in a philosophy class, a philosophy of science class with physicists that are philosophers, and I made this statement, they'll be like, dude, relax. We all know this. Like, this is not news. Why are you proclaiming this? This is like basic. But of course, if you're not trained in this field, it might seem shocking to you. But look, we know that in the future, there might be revolutions, scientific revolutions, excuse me, that are just as shocking as the Copernicus revolution. Why? Because it's 180 degrees of what we really thought we were so certain of. In the same way, the Quran is telling us, look, you have it totally backwards. When you die, it's not the great sleep. When you die, it's the great awakening. It's complete. You're going to have this Copernican type revolution. Not only, not Copernican level, like an infinite amount of times greater than what Copernicus did. So if you're asking me about dreams, Quran, and fitra, this is it. If you're truly in touch with your fitra, and here's the thing, guys. Fitra is a very complicated word. In Islam, okay, in Islamic philosophers, they say, look, you have the senses. Okay, think about your senses. When you were young, if you tasted something salty, you believe that thing was salty. If you saw something bright, you believed it was bright. If you saw something small, you believed it was small. You trusted your senses. As you got older, you started to mistrust your senses. You start saying, look, my intellect is telling me my senses are getting it wrong. What's small, what I see at a distance that looks small is actually really large. Like if you see the sun in the night sky, the star in the night sky, like, oh, it's a little piece of jewelry, Ghazali says. But really, we know with our calculations that it's astronomically large, bigger than the earth that you're standing on. You think the earth is big and that star is small. Actually, it's the opposite. The star is huge and the earth is small, comparatively speaking. Your senses are not telling you. They're limited. Descartes famously said, look, when I stick a straw into a glass of water, the straw seems to bend. It's not true. My eyes are lying to me, or they're inaccurate, or they have a type of weakness. They don't realize they're informing me that the straw is bent. It's not. It's incorrect. So he says, look, the intellect usurps the authority of the senses. We no longer trust the senses as much. You see, you're in a desert, you see a mirage. You think, oh, there's a river there. You rush. That was just a mirage. Illusions of the mind are plentiful. Now we're going to be, Ghazali asks, what if something else comes about and usurps the intellect? And he says, yes, there is something that usurps the intellect. If we suspend everything that has a doubt, we then rely on fitra, direct experience. Your direct experience is that you're going through one world into another. It's your narratives when you wake up. And we give ourselves the narrative. We're singing the song of the day. We're saying, look, we're human beings on this planet and we have this many years and this is the things people do. And they're like, we sing ourselves a narrative and a song that is oftentimes wrong. And if you pull back and you say, look, I'm not going to trust any narrative. I'm not going to trust any any doubtful, anything that has a speck of doubt, we have to eliminate it. What you're going to be left with is this core we call the fitra. And the fitra, you know, what you do know, what you experience directly, all you really experience directly is that you're going from one world to the other. It's your intellect that's saying, oh, that's a dream. Oh, it's a temporary state. It's an illusion of the mind when you're asleep. That's a song and dance we have no proof of. We have no proof of. In philosophy, we do it over and over again. We try to prove that it's true, and we fail time and time again to the point, guys like me, we say, you know what? There's no way of knowing. Okay, now this is famously discussed in philosophy. This is a massive topic. Massive topic. But ultimately speaking, if you trust only what you know directly, you're not using an interpreter, because don't forget, the senses was an interpreter. The senses, my eyesight is telling me that straw is bent, but I'm not seeing the straw through perfect eyes, through God's eyes. I'm seeing it through these faulty eyes. So I can't trust them. They're interpreting for me what's out there. And they're liars or they're weak, however we want to interpret it. Now, if I had perfect eyes, if I had divine eyes, if I had the eyes of God, then I could trust my senses. But the interpreter between me and whatever is out there, if there is anything out there, is faulty, weak. So we have to dismiss it. And then we come to the intellect, your logic, my logic, your logic. Guys, take the two greatest logicians in the world, they don't agree. Our logic is not divine either. Our logic is not divine. I don't care how smart you are, you make mistakes. So we can't even trust the smartest people. Yeah, it's better to follow intelligent people, absolutely. You'll get further. You'll be healthier. You'll be happier. You'll be more successful. Yet, it's not perfect. That's all we're saying. Philosophers, rationalists, we say it's not perfect. Not that we shouldn't do it. Yes, we should do it. We should give our most valiant effort and do it. However, it's not perfect. It's flawed. We dismiss it. We want to know what is perfect. And then we discover that we have this thing that is, we'll call innatism. Just direct knowledge. This direct innate knowledge, all we know, all we experience is that we're jumping from one world to the next. So that's my, in a nutshell, explanation. But again, there are oceans of material written on this. Oceans. Okay, guys, what else we got next? Let's see what time it is. It is 12:36. I got to get up early tomorrow. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe you guys got me up this late. Let's go. We got another super chat member for 10 months. I want to thank Dudester for being the man. Thank you for us. I live in a pretty rough place. It is great to get a moment of true clarity. And even better to be part of it. Good night, everyone. That's from Dudester. Dudester is a gentleman and a scholar, my friend. I appreciate you very much for those comments and your gesture. Thank you. Bone Hunter pledges $99 without a question. Guys, I want to thank you, Bone Hunter. Another gentleman and scholar. Shout out to Bone Hunter. Thank you very much. Very sweet of you. But guys, do please throw out your questions. I'm sure I missed a few super chats. Let me scroll back. All right, guys. What else we got here? Yeah, no, fitra doesn't just mean natural inclination. It is part of fitra, absolutely, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's from So Hype. That's a good way to put it as well, but it's not complete. It's not a complete definition. There's no way to completely define it. Very important to understand. Fitra is only known by experience. It's not known by definition. It cannot be deduced rationally, nor can it be defined perfectly. For us, you will learn we are on a level plane, and you will find the Father soon after. That's from Greg Q. I'm not sure what Greg Q means by that, but not sure what he means by that. Absolutely not, but interesting. What evidence do you have you're on a sphere, globe? That's from Craig Q. Craig Q questions the shape of the earth. Well, we have images from satellites. I mean, I think it would be more complicated to have I think it would be, think about it. Look, if the earth was flat, let's say the earth was flat, okay? And you were on this side of the earth, there would be more gravity because there was more mass to your left, to my left. If I was here, if I was this finger here, to the left of my finger, there's more mass. So there'd be more gravity. I'd have to be on places of the earth where I'd be like, hey, there's more gravity here than if I was in the center. So, and it makes sense. Well, we know that things should ball up in a circle because of gravity. It makes total sense why things ball up. Why then on earth would it be flat like a pizza? Why on earth would it be flat? And why don't people say Mars is flat? Because we can observe Mars. Now, why would Mars be circular and every other planetary body, and we can directly observe them, except Earth? Earth is, for some reason, flat like a disc. How would, I know that was probably like a troll question, but just as a layman who's not a physicist, I would say, look, I think this is what would happen. Like, this is not my field, but even me, I can tell you that's an absurdity. It's just an absurdity. And this is really not my field, guys. I'm just talking out of the side of my mouth just for fun, for entertainment. But I would say at least that I would start speculation there. How come nobody's saying Mars is flat? We're observing it directly. So why would the Earth be flat? Why is every single planetary body circular? A globe. Member for 10 months. Dude, sir, thank you for us. Oh, thank you very much, dude. I read that out. You're the man. Appreciate it. Coach, I'm Buddhist. I'm Buddhism. What should I do to learn about Islam and how to live life to the fullest? That's from Bang Baba. Well, read Islamic literature. Guys, I'm actually starting to read up on the Eastern cultures. Like I said many times, I haven't studied the Eastern cultures far enough. I'm looking into that now. I'm taking that step towards learning a lot about the Eastern cultures. I find very interesting and fascinating. However, I'll save it for another day because I already talked too much about these ideas. But I would recommend, start reading. Read. Anything you're interested in. Look for the top books on the topic, and always refer to scholarly work. Start at the top. Start with the guys who have the deepest understanding about this topic. Thoughts on Andrew Tate, guys? It is too long to start talking about Andrew Tate, but I definitely want to get him on this channel. That's from Victor Lay. Guys, I think he's right about so many things. He's just putting the message out there so crudely. He's right, man. I hate to say it, but I was just in the UK. Okay, let me tell you my experience in the UK. I was there for a fight. I was downtown Criffin. I believe it's called Criffin. And I go out for lunch. Like, I go out to have a late lunch. Like, it's 2 o'clock. I'm walking down the street. It's a downtown area. And people are already drunk. No, it's none of my business. That's their lifestyle. I'm not to judge. But the women were drunk. And as I'm walking down this alley in a very public area, this woman walks up to me and she's like, she's obviously drunk and dancing towards me like she's gonna give me like she's gonna wrap her arms around me. And of course I'm like, whoa. And she got the message, and I looked at her like, you crazy? And she's drunk and crazy, and her friends are. I'm like, what kind of Andrew Tate, he's very conservative, it seems, when it comes to women. Like, he wants them to be conservative. Like, he uses the term haram. I find it hilarious in a way. And he's constantly saying, look, these women need to put it in check. Now, it all depends on your lifestyle. I mean, personally, God, I'd rather be dead than be with a girl like this. She's drunk on a Saturday afternoon, walking around half naked, putting her arms around strangers. Like, this is psychotic to me. I just find it absurd. I find it's. I hate to say it, guys, and I don't mean to be judgy, but for me personally, from my perspective, it's trashy. I don't know how other people feel, but I find it's trashy. It's turn off. It's disgusting. It's gross. But then again, I don't want to impose my worldviews on the people out there. Some people, to them, it's a good time and they're happy. I mean, if that's your way of life, that's your way of life. I don't want to seem insulting here. I just want you guys to understand that's the perspective I come from. And I think he's kind of generally saying that. He's saying, like, guys, wake up. women need to be in a certain confinement, and I agree with him. I think not confinement, but in a certain look. Let me word it better before I get trashed, because I know a lot of you out there have been crushed by feminism. I think personally that women and men should have a deep respect for one another. They should have a deep respect. And for themselves, etc. I respect women. I'm very close to my mom. I put my mom on a pedestal. I take care of my wife. I put her on a pedestal. Yes, I treat them good. Still, though, in our culture, the man is the man. It's just a different thing. It's just like, I feel bad for guys who don't grow up like that. Like, they just never grew up with a father in the house. And I know many of you have. Many of you have. But it's a new wave of young guys who grew up where the mom is wearing the pants in the house. And the mom is the shot caller. And it's a very different experience. And when the woman is the shot caller, it's in my opinion, a recipe for, in long term, it's disaster. In long term, I hate to use the word disaster. I think it's really bad. I think it's really, really bad in the long term. And I think women hate it. I think, guys, I'll throw out one of my philosophies. You guys want to hear one of my philosophies? I think women secretly hate wearing the pants in a relationship. I think they secretly despise it. They manage the money. They decide where we're going. The guy's like, yes, dear. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. He's a broken soul. She decides when we're having sex. She decides when we're going where. She decides how much money we're spending. She decides where we're vacationing. Once in a while, she indulges you by asking you, oh, I know you like this. Let me take you here. She's wearing the pants in the relationship. I think the guy secretly is tortured. And I think the woman is secretly tortured. And I'm going to give you guys such a credible evidence. I'm going to give you guys such a incredible evidence that I don't want to hear one person object in the chat room. I don't want to even hear one person. This is even Andrew Tate hasn't thought of this. Even Andrew Tate hasn't thought of this. You guys think he's a great thinker? Yeah, he's a smart guy. He's a very intelligent guy. I respect him a lot. Like, I respect his ability to say things that people have to hear but don't want to hear. And he's saying this at the height of feminism. Like, feminism is on a rampage right now. And I remember when I was a young kid on the mat and John Danaher warning us about not getting married, he was scared we'd get sidetracked. He wanted us to focus on our goals, etc. He gave us great advice on that mat, let me tell you. After practice, and I find myself saying the same thing to my students. Just literally 2 nights ago, I was at the gym till midnight almost, talking to my students, and we're talking about women and relationships and how to navigate and how to do things I can't say on the podcast because I don't know, maybe it'll upset a lot of people. Let me give you, though, a death blow argument. I'll give you a death blow argument why women absolutely hate wearing the pants. Now, before I say this, I just want to say something. Treat women well. Be courteous, be respectful, be humble, be friendly, be kind, be gentle with women. I've never been rough with my wife. I've never been rough with any woman in my entire life, ever. I'm telling you guys, be gentle, be kind, be friendly, be courteous. However, wear the pants. Wearing the pants doesn't mean you yell. If you yell, it's kind of weakness. And I'll talk about that a little bit before I give you guys the death blow argument. Because you have to be gentle with a woman. You have to be friendly. You have to be kind. You have to be courteous. You have to know more than her. You have to, I hate to say it, try to make more than her. Pay for her. Take care of her. She feels like she's nestled in your palm. Be knowledgeable about everything. Girls hate being married to a guy who's a dummy. Doesn't matter how good looking you are, how shredded you are. The girls don't like. Girls are stimulated. Physically, of course. We all know that. It's no secret. But intellectually, very important. Women, I'm going to give you guys a death blow argument for all of this. When I give you guys the death blow argument, there is no coming back. I dare you to try to argue me against it. I dare you. Bring me on the most popular feminist podcast. I'll give this argument and they won't have any rebuttal. What do women... Look at women's erotic novels. Are they ever writing... Has there ever been a bestseller where the star of the erotic novel, the guy that the girl's so in love with, he's a yes man, he's a feminist, he questions his gender, he makes very little money, Or it could be that the guy, look, don't get me wrong. Just because you make a little money doesn't mean you can't meet somebody great. And that's secondary. I would say even, it's like, okay, he has no confidence. I would say money is a secondary thing, even though it can be very important. Money's a tricky thing. Okay, it's hot and cold. It can be and it cannot be. Okay, I've seen guys who don't make a lot of money be very successful with women, and I've seen guys with money have very little else be successful with women to a certain extent. Okay, so money is a bit of a dark horse. I'm talking about women. What are they like? The star of the erotic novel, romance novel, whatever you want to call it, he's always a guy who's confident, rugged, hard to tame. He has leadership. He's the one who wears the pants. Unquestionably, he wears the pants. Actually, a common theme is that she cannot subdue, she cannot tame him almost. He's a wildcat almost. He's like a wild, he's a little bit crazy. He's a little bit uncontrollable. And she's trying to soften his heart because he's so wild. He's a bucking bronco. He's a wildcat. And by the end of the story, she's kind of like pulled on his heartstrings and she's kind of tamed him and she's kind of reeled him in and she's domesticated him. He was a wildcat. He was a tiger in the jungle, and she now he's eating in the palm of her hands. And why? Because he loves her. He fell in love, and now he's changed his demeanor. This is like the ultimate female fantasy. Why? They sell the same story over and over again to every generation. Show me the romance novel where the guy is a feminist, liberal, soy boy, makes very little money. He's very unsure of himself. He's not good looking. He's not in shape. When his enemies come around, he cowers in the corner, or he turns the cheek, so to speak. He lets them step all over him. Show me this novel. Or you know what? I dare you to write this novel. I want to see how many copies you're going to sell. You're going to sell 0 copies. Now, with that said, guys, I want to be really, really clear. There's also the flip side of this coin, and the flip side is just as important. Women despise, I guarantee you, women despise an arrogant man. Women despise an egotistical man. They'll date him for a while and then they'll like, I can't stand this guy. Why? Because if you're egotistical, you're not interested in connecting with other people. You see people beneath you. So nobody likes to connect or bond with somebody beneath them. So if she sees you as arrogant, she's like, look, I cannot connect with this person. I cannot bond. Okay, that's something very interesting term. Connect, bond. What does that mean? I'll give you in a nutshell explanation because it'll be too long. But when people are in a relationship, ultimately speaking, that person should become more important to you than yourself. Ultimately speaking, two people who are truly in a relationship, truly in love, are not in love until one another is more important than yourself. Okay, so my wife is more important to me. I'm more important to her. Then you're really, in my opinion, reached the highest level. If you're with your wife because, hey, she accommodates me, my certain needs, I accommodate her certain needs, it's a marriage of convenience. I pay my bills, she pays her bills, and everything is convenient. And that's how deep your relationship goes. Your woman will never be truly happy. And I don't think you'll be truly happy. Your relationship has to go past that. It has to transcend your basic human needs. When I look at my wife, she means something to me. She's not just this biological organism. You have to go beyond that. And I think that's the ultimate human fantasy. I wouldn't say women's fantasy. I think even men, ultimately, that's at a young age, that's not what they want. At a young age, all they care about is physics and physical looks. But as you mature, and what you used to think was so exciting is now, okay, I've explored these mysteries. They're not so mysterious to me anymore. What's next? A lot of guys who don't understand what I'm saying now, you're less experienced. You're still at the less experienced level. As you gain more experience, you're like, okay, this is fun. This is great. I enjoy it. I'm in. However, what's next? I need something even more. Okay, that's something more. Is what I just previously described, what I put in a nutshell. Ultimately, That's a more satisfying experience. So people are going to strive to that. If they don't strive to that, it's because they don't know better. Aristotle, Socrates, they will tell you it's out of ignorance. You just didn't know that there was a higher level. You just didn't know how to get there. You just never even conceived of it. You're there eating at the kids' table, and you never knew that you never knew how to graduate. That's what they would tell you. And I agree with them wholeheartedly. What I'm trying to say is, if you look at women's psyche, if you study a woman like a creature, which is what psychology is. Psychology is the study of the human mind. If you ask a room of psychologists, who is the first psychologist? They're going to tell you Socrates. For those of you who don't know, okay, I graduated, I got my college degree and university degree in philosophy. Socrates was what we call the know thyself philosophy. Before Socrates, they would only talk about the world out there. What's the world made of? How does physics work? They were more physicists, okay, even though they didn't have that term. Not how we mean it today, but they were studying the outside world. They were examining, and Aristotle scrapped all that. Sorry, not Aristotle, forgive me. Socrates scrapped all that, and he made it the know thyself. He said, stop, before you examine the outside world, we first have to examine this thing, the mind, because we're using the mind to study the world. Imagine you are using a tool to study the world, and you're like, I don't know anything about the tool that I'm studying, that I'm using to study. Well, then all your information that you're gathering is going to be pointless if we first don't understand how we're getting this information. So he said, look, we have to start here. And he's not wrong. But a lot of people criticized him. Socrates was criticized for possibly slowing down the progress of the Greeks. I think in the long term, he accelerated the progress of the Greeks in the long term. And he did, if you read the book of Phaedo, that's really the first book Plato is kind of talking about the outside world. And there are mentions in other books, but mainly the Phaedo is really an intense study of the outside world. An amazing book, by the way. Very advanced philosophy, though. Socrates is the first psychologist. Guys, make no mistake about it. Make no mistake, he's the first psychologist. So I'm a lover of the know thyself philosophy, and I could tell you, I'm really interested in studying human beings, almost like you would study any animal in the animal kingdom. In that sense, I like to observe human beings and kind of like, what makes them tick? Why did they do this? Why is human behavior in such a way? And I will tell you something, after studying female human behavior, it's almost everything feminists tell us they want is completely untrue. It's completely untrue. And so many young men have swallowed the pill that it backfires on them. They actually get crushed by the boot of feminism. Because ultimately speaking, feminist, in my opinion, third wave feminist, there's a distinction, but I'm not going to get into it because it's a long tangent. Let's call it the more extreme type of feminism, because I'm also feminist to a certain degree. Okay, I believe women should have rights. Of course, that goes without saying. I can't believe I don't even have to say it. Of course, women should have rights, be treated well, etc., guys. However, women, just like men, want power. Why do women put lipstick on? Power. Why do women put makeup on? Power. When a woman puts lipstick on, Schopenhauer would tell you, her lips are like when she's engorged, when she's having sexual interactions, her cheeks become flush, her lips become engorged. Why do you think women put rouge on their face? Look at me, I'm in a sexual state of excitement. What does that do to you? Why does she put makeup on? She's making herself look younger, more beautiful, more primed for sexual intercourse. What does that do to you? Oh, it stirs your feelings of your primordial, your deepest instincts to want to have sex. Now she has a power over you. You want something from me. That's why women, they can't grab you and twist your arm and make you beg and take resources from you. No. Women have to do it in a different way. They dye their hair. They put on perfume. They make themselves look like they're in a state of arousal. And then that triggers something in you. and then say, no, 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 no. If you want this, you have to jump through these hoops. It's a type of power. Now, feminists are interested in power just like everybody else. And they tell you, no, we want you like this. We want you like that. If you behave in the way we ask, we'll praise you. But really, their agenda is when you behave the way they ask, they just usurp your power. They take from you. And they leave you by the wayside, on the side of the road. That's why I constantly, and philosophers, a lot of us, I would say, not all of us agree. There are always these left-wing, I'm not against right-wing, left-wing, but the more progressive type thinkers, they're always paying lip service to the feminists. I don't, and I refuse to. I believe in feminism to a certain degree. I think it's good to a certain degree. After that, it's too much. It's detrimental. It's detrimental, excuse me. It's late. To our society. Too much feminism is detrimental, harmful. Women, of course, should have rights. But if you put women too high, above men almost, like we're almost starting to hate men. We're almost starting to look down on, oh, he's a man. Oh. It's almost like men are annoying in this society. And Andrew Tate is doing a good job of reviving a certain instinct in man. And I would definitely love to bring up certain points because I do definitely disagree with many points he says, but many points I agree with him. And one thing, guys, you can't lie. You can't lie about what women spend their money on. We know the statistics. What are the top 10 novels, erotic novels for women? Let's look it up. Romance. I'm going to put romance novels. Top 10 romance novels of all time. Let's look here. Okay, there's 60 best romance novels of all time. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Some of these... Okay, hold on. Some of these are old, man. You see, this is the other thing I want to tell you guys. A lot of you guys are like, oh, washboard abs, muscles. Look at these books I just fell on. Okay, look at the first one. Though Jane Eyre might be poor, obscure... Guys, there's a lesson here. Such a lesson here. Pay attention. Though Jane Eyre might be poor, obscure, plain, and little, her love story is anything but one of the authoritative classics of the genre. Jane Eyre's enduring popularity is testament to the power of its central romance. Jane, a destitute young orphan. Think about it. Women are always in distress. What did I just tell you? Women are in distress. They want their knight in shining armor. They want that strong male who's going to come and bring them resources and protection and put them up on a pedestal and fall in love with them. Jane, a destitute orphan, arrives at the home of the mysterious Mr. Rochester in search of employment. She needs resources. He's mysterious. Guys, these are the most common themes. This is so cliche. But finds more than that. She finds more than she bargained for. The naive and uncertain Jane is magnetically drawn to her brooding employer. The naive. Women, remember what I said earlier. Women want you to know more than them. Women, guys, I know this is going to blow your mind. I know you're going to fall over once I say this. Women need you to not only physically stimulate them. They need intellectual stimulation. Women are drawn not to nerdy academic type jargon. Don't go around, you talk to a girl and you start giving her a history lesson. She's going to scratch your eyes out. Women, I should put this in order. Women, first of all, love entertainment. Your teaching style, your not teaching style, it should be entertaining. Women love entertainment. If you know more than your significant other, but she feels like you're boring, you're finished. You're dead in the water. Yes, you have to know more. Yes, you have to, because women love to look up to a man. Look at this description here. The naive and uncertain Jane is magnetically drawn to her brooding employer. Let's define perfectly what brooding means. Showing deep unhappiness of thought. She wants you, Jane here, her employer is brooding. He's tormented. He's not happy. Guess who's going to bring him happiness? This Jane character. But he's powerful. They don't even need you to be happy and go lucky and jumping up and down. No. You could be brooding. You could be a bit grouchy. You could be a bit mean even. Not mean necessarily. You guys don't think this is a carte blanche to be mean. I'm telling you the opposite. Be polite, be courteous, be gentle with your women. Be very gentle. However, women don't desire a nice guy. They don't desire the lapdog style guy. The guy who's obedient to his woman. He does everything she tells her and tries to make her happy and please her. No, look how they're describing. This is the all-time best-selling romance novel. She's desperate for employment. She's naive. The book is describing her as naive. This guy knows more than her. He has the money. He can employ her. He can feed her. Resources is massive. He's going to provide for her. These are the classic male genres that today are being stepped all over. But will the twisted secrets lying at the heart of Thornfield Hall undermine their building relationship? Guys, this is so, like, for me, this is like this is so freaking boring. But we see what I just read there? Here's another key element women love. But will the twisted secrets lying at the heart of the Thornfield Hall undermine their building relationship? Twisted secrets, lies, all equals drama. Women love drama. Me, I like to come home to a drama-free place, but hey, man, my wife, she's going to find something. And I got to spar with her. Guys, learn to spar with your women. Women need drama. Me, I'm the total opposite. When I go to the gym, I want no drama. When I go to the fights, I want no drama. When I'm training somebody, I want no drama. Drama for me takes away from what I love to do. I love to learn, study, like I have hobbies. Drama just takes away from my fun time. Drama drains my batteries. However, there's one person I'll spar with. There's more than one, but one person, I'll give her a good sparring. My wife, she needs it. I believe women need drama. Look at these romance novels. It's always the same thing. Drama, drama, drama. Now, if you try to sell these books to men would never take this. Men would never read this. Men would read, I couldn't even read the summary. It was too boring. My mind was breaking as I was reading it. My mind is literally breaking. Like, I've never read a story like this. I've only like perused and read summaries to see what intrigues them and why. When you come home and your wife is angry, she just wants you to spar with her. Spar with her a little bit. Don't be rough. Not spar. When I say spar, guys, I mean verbally. Like, let her have her soap opera moment. How do you feel? This and that. You know, when my wife asks me how I feel, guys, I'll be honest with you. I tell her, look, woman. I call her woman often. I refer to my wife as woman quite often. I don't even know why. I tell her, your husband only has feeling in one place. That's what you should be concerned with. Meaning, I'm asking her to cater to my physical needs at my beck and call. And that's her duty here in this home. Now, you guys might think this is a little rough. Coach, we didn't see this side of you yet. But this is me kind of sparring with her. She's going to get upset. She's going to be like, hey, you're being a jerk. I'm sparring with her. And yes, of course, honey, there's romance too. And I'll butter her up with a little romance and she'll feel better. She'll be happy. But women like this back and forth. Don't think that if you give a woman flowers and sweet words and everything is jolly all the time, she's not going to get sick of you. I think women will get sick of you. I think it's okay to be brooding, meaning you're grumpy, you're a little bit mad, you're a little bit not happy, you're a little bit. Guys, when I say a little bit, I mean sprinkle a dust worth. It's okay to be a little bit manly. It's okay. And I say a little bit because I'm scared you guys are going to go full blown. Like if I said put a tablespoon, I know you guys are going to put a cupful. So that's why I'm telling you dust, because I really want you to land that teaspoon. Read between the lines here. It's okay to be a man, not arrogant. Women despise arrogance. So don't go too far. Aristotle will tell you, look, you could be a lapdog or you could be arrogant. On either extreme. The golden mean is in the middle. You're confident. Or you could be arrogant. Or you could be cowardly. That's the actual term. I use the word lapdog because, in my opinion, if you're a lapdog, you have no backbone. And women despise a man without backbone. Aristotle will tell you, look, the golden mean is confidence. Too confident, you're arrogant. Not confident enough, you're a coward. That's how he would put it. Okay, so guys, $99 super chat. Oh my God, this is insane. Oh, that's from Bone Hunter. My man, thank you again. Oh, here we go. Hey, Faraz, keep up the great work. What kind of books on raising children and having a family can you recommend? That's from David Tufan. Guys, it's really difficult to narrow it down to one book. I'll tell you guys everything I learned about raising family, I learned from my religion. That's why when people tell me, oh, religion is dumb, I'm like, dude, that is the craziest comment I've ever heard. It's insane. That's an insane comment. Right now, the West is being plucked from their religion. Christians are mainly, the West is mainly Christian. They're losing their religion day by day. There's less and less devoted Christians. Christianity was incredibly successful. Why? We want to know why. Why was this machine called Christianity so incredibly successful? Let me tell you something. The Christian way of life of the past was very pragmatic, efficient, successful, far more successful than what we have today. I don't think what we have today is going to last in the distant future. You know, I had a conversation with my wife recently, maybe like a few months ago. And I was telling her, look, if I wasn't raised Muslim, I would have definitely been a gangster. Guys, I'm being totally honest with you. I would have definitely been a gangster. I would have definitely got into the drug trade. I would have definitely been, why not? What's stopping me? When I was young, I wasn't raised strictly religious, no. But I was told certain things are forbidden and don't ever go there. I was warned young. Like there's certain things, you know, we're not watching. You do what you want, but these certain things never. And it was a question of belief and respect. Don't go this far. Like there's, you know, don't be this immoral. Now I'll tell you something. If I wasn't given that stern warning, if I wasn't taught at a young age that these things are horribly immoral, don't ever do them. And if I had never, I guarantee you guys, I would either be dead or in jail or like a vicious human being. There is no way I'd be married today and with children and having a controlled lifestyle, like a happy life. There's no way. I'm telling you, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that. Because one, the people I grew up with, I don't want to get too detailed, but in my neighborhood, very close to me where I grew up, were some very prominent gangsters. That today are either dead or in jail. They just so happen to be where I live. And they happened to go to school with me, and I with them all the time. And I'm seeing them make all this money at a very young age. I'm seeing these guys make money. And they're living life large. Cars. Like the Scarface. Chicas, champagne, limousines. And I was so tempted. Why? Why am I working all these hours to make $500 when these guys are making $5,000 a day? I'm making $500 a week. These guys are making crazy money. And they'll give me a menial job. But no, I always had this hard line. Drugs are bad, man. Drugs are bad. Don't sell drugs because I'm poisoning some other human being. I had this moral. Like they had this limit I wouldn't get past. I wouldn't go past. Now when I look back, I swear to you, these friends of mine, I swear to God, these friends of mine, all of them are in horrible shape. Like all of them. I don't want to get too personal here, but like mentally unhealthy. Their situation is horrific. Family situation is destroyed. Either they're in jail or they're dead. I'm telling you guys, I know for a fact I would have never had this successful life. That's why when people tell me what book is, I don't know of any book really. I know of studies, but there's no good advice out there. All the good advice came from the religious traditions. If you look at, I can speak for Islam because I'm very well versed in Islam. If you look at everything that's forbidden, what harms the family. How many families are destroyed by alcohol? Countless. We don't drink alcohol. How many families are destroyed by gambling? Countless. Oh, it's just a harmless bet. Gets addictive. Becomes disease. They call it a disease now. How many destroyed by adultery? This, that. Oh man, there's so many. All the vices, all the sins. People say, oh, there's no such thing as sin. All the sins destroy family. Like that's what the concept's about. And your sin is going to bring you a type of hell. I'm telling you, it's going to bring you a type of hell one way or another in this life and in the next. You're going to torment yourself. Why? Because you thought that this was, in Aristotle will tell you this as well, Socrates will tell you as well. You thought that selling drugs was a good thing because you thought you're going to get a benefit, but you don't understand. You're harming yourself. But Aristotle will tell you you're too ignorant to see in the long run that it's harming you. You're doing it out of ignorance, Aristotle will tell you. And I would agree with him. It's a type of ignorance. This ignorance, when you're young, it's very hard to tell. And you think it's never going to happen to you. Yeah, it happened to all these other guys. It's not going to happen to me. Naivete. Being naive when you're young. But yet, your elders teach you a different way. They watch you. They corral you when you're off the path. And all of a sudden, as you get older, you start seeing it as obvious. And then when you reach a certain point in life, you're like, hey, I really, I swear to you, my childhood friends that I was referring to, and I'm referring to them loosely because I'm making sure I don't want to overstep they often tell me, oh, we wish we can have your situation. They often, oh, you have the best situation of all. Because we all grew up why? Because it all came back to bite them. It all came back to haunt them. It all came back to hurt them. And I can't say that, look, everything I learned about family, I learned from studying philosophy, psychology, but the tradition, man, our religious traditions really made it super simple. So even if you're not religious, ask yourself, why were the Christians so successful? Why are the Muslims so successful? Why were the Hindus so successful? Like, what was it about them? Well, if you look at the Hindus, they have arranged marriage. They're 1 billion people. Like, I can't say I can't say that they were not successful. I mean, they're on the map. They haven't withered and they haven't been wiped off. They haven't shot themselves in the foot. No, they're very prominent people in the world. How did they get there? Well, you got to ask yourself, like, are their marriages more successful? I don't know all the answers to these questions. I'm saying these are interesting questions to ask. Like, what system is really bringing families success? And those are the questions like that. And I can answer on my side of the globe. Yes, I can answer those questions because I've studied that, but I haven't gone deep into the eastern side of the globe. But I'm sure they have their reasons. I'm sure they have their formula because many of the people in the East are super hyper successful. What did they do? How did they get there? How can I get there? That's why what I'm telling you guys is, early on I was talking about, I was in UK, for those of you who just tuned in, and some drunk woman was kind of wrapping her arms around me, and I was like telling her to step off in a nice way. Of course, I was courteous. I just kind of like changed direction, like gave her like, I don't want this sweaty drunk woman all over me anyway. But that kind of woman is going to destroy your household. And I'm saying this as a guy who's been married for well over 10 years here. I'm telling you guys, it's going to destroy you. Like that's the thing. That's what you have around you. That's what you think is normal. So they don't pass this traditional test. Do they, when I look at I love when I see American TV in the 1950s and they show these housewives. Oh man, damn it. Wow, man. It's like a black and white picture. She's wearing a beautiful outfit. Her hair is done for her husband. He's coming home. She's vacuuming. The whole house is set. By the way, statistically, those women in the 50s reported to be happier. I have to verify that because I'm doing it by memory, and memory could be faulty. But I remember reading articles saying that women were happier. They report being happier in the 50s. Now, a lot of you are going to be like, yeah, coach, they were scared of their husbands. They were scared. It was like an embarrassment to report you're not happy. Could be. I could be wrong. But I don't think so. I think if you took a woman from the 50s who had a good husband, you have to have a good husband, and she had her kids, she's way happier than that drunk lady who, by the way, was probably like pushing 30. And she was drunk out of her mind, etc. I think the 1950s style is much happier. But that's me. That's my perspective. Could be wrong. Anyways, those 1950s type women that they had, like they're so well kept, beautiful, such a proper demeanor. She's not walking at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday drunk in the middle of the road. Of course not. It's not even her realm of, it's not even possible in her psyche. Man, I look at them like, wow, where did those women go, man? I blame men. I don't blame women. I blame men. You know, one time I come home from the gym, my sons were with me, and they're like, "What's for dinner?" I'm like, "Boy, your father married a modern woman. You don't ask that question anymore." I'm teasing my wife. My wife, she's great. But she has a full-time job. She works crazy hours. She works just as much as me. I'm like, "Boy, you married your father married a modern woman. You don't ask that question. You go and you heat up leftovers, and those days are gone." Now, it's not gone because women are bad or anything like that. It's just because now both people in the household have to work, especially here in Canada. You got lots of taxes to pay. You need 2 salaries. Every home needs 2 salaries. Okay, most homes do, let's say, vast majority of homes. So the wife works. She can't just be like the 1950s wife. I totally understand that's not possible. I'm just saying that, remember the good old days? That must have been a special, unique feeling. Come home to your loving wife who cooked a meal and the house is kept, and she's smiling ear to ear, happy to see her husband, and la 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 di da. What a world. We didn't grow up in this world. We grew up with, you come home, your wife is just as tired as you, and she's fed up with work, and she's stressed, and we got to make dinner really quick, and we need to microwave something, and what, I don't microwave, but it's just that stressful life, that high-paced life that's choking people. It's super stressful. Okay, guys, I'm going to wind this down with, I'm just going to finish up these super chats. I hope I did not ramble on too long. I wish my woman could stay home. That's from Youngju. Dude, I'll tell you something. I told my wife once, I said, "Look, you don't need to work. I'll take care of everything. Stay home." She didn't want to. She wanted to go to school. She wanted to get educated. And she wanted to have a job. Why? Well, I think they feel a sense of accomplishment. It's the norm now. Everybody's doing it. If they stay home, they might get a little jealous. Their girlfriends have careers. The path less chosen for them. They would, for them, for their personal experience. They'll be like, "Hey, what if I had a career? What could I have done out there in the world?" I'm very okay with women working. I like the fact that my woman makes her own money. She could spend her own money on herself. Of course, me, I'm traditional. I'm very fortunate. I can take care of all the bills. I don't need to ask my wife for anything. I take care of everything. But she also has a career that she enjoys. She works. She helps society. She contributes. She feels good about herself. These are all important things. However, I can't say that when I see those 1950s wives, I can't say, man, oh man, what a time. What a golden age. What a special, special time it must have been. Yeah, my woman would go crazy staying home. Yeah, they would. I think so. Because it's so popular now to go out there in the world and get a job. But it's so sad in a way. It's just so sad. Some women just like working, they exist. No, I believe not. I believe it's social pressure. I think if you gave the same woman 2 lives, one where she stays home, takes care of her man, and her man's a good man, and she has a loving family, she picks that 99 times out of 100. Then having a high-powered career where she barely sees her kids, barely sees her husband, always stressed, paying bills, hustling out there in the rat race. I think I'm guys. I have no reference. This is not a me referring to any study. This is just my own personal opinion. It's worth nothing. It's worth nothing what I'm saying. I think women pick that 99 times out of 100. They pick staying home, taking care of their family, being happy. Navid Tufan asks a very controversial question. What is your opinion on Muhammad alayhi salam marrying Aisha radiallahu anha so young? Okay, well look, here's the thing, okay? This is known as the historian's fallacy. Prophet Muhammad, he married a lot of women, and most of them were widowed. Women society didn't want. His dearest friend had a daughter, and he married her. Now, what is the norm of their society? The norm of the society was that. Today, we would consider that undoable. When we commit the historian's fallacies, when we judge people from our standards, if you judge Christopher Columbus by his standards of his day, you're being just to him. Every historical figure needs to be, historians tell us, needs to be judged by their paradigm of the day. Imagine in the future, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 99% of the world is vegan. And they look back at meat eaters as we look back today to slave owners. Today, when we look back at slave owners, we're like, they're so horrible, these people. But really, to them, it was very normal. And they were taught that this is the way of the world. Imagine you're really young. And even the slaves were like, we're happy to be slaves. We're happy in our, not all slaves, guys. Don't get me wrong. Imagine now, hold on a second. I'm not talking about transatlantic slavery. I'm talking about slavery globally. Some slaves, not all, might even be happy in their role because they feel that they've been, again, guys, they were indoctrinated to believe that this was their life to be. Like, for instance, the Greeks. Again, guys, I want to point out, I'm not talking about transatlantic slavery. I'm referring more to like ancient slavery, global slavery, as on a whole. Meaning the Greeks would indoctrinate their slaves that you were born to be a slave. This is your duty and destiny. So the slave, he was indoctrinated from a young age to think that this is what he's supposed to be doing. Like, he didn't even realize that I'm being treated unfairly. You have to understand that from a young age, they're groomed to be slaves. So to them, this is norm. Okay, now of course it's not the norm of our day. Today it would be appalling. What I'm trying to say is, imagine in the future, there's a new paradigm. Everybody is vegan, and they look back at what we used to do with farm animals and think it's horrific. Even some of them go so far as to say that it's worse than what we did to human beings during slavery. Imagine. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm not saying this is a correct point of view. What I'm saying is, imagine they go that far. Imagine they have a totally different paradigm than us. They're thinking on the level that animals and human beings are equal. Some vegans say this. They're equal in importance. And the slaves were slaves, but the animals were butchered. Nobody ever did that. So the animals had it worse than human beings. There might be vegans alive today saying that. And I think we can agree that like PETA and these organizations, they do say, some of them do say that human life and animal life is identically important. It's equally important, I should say, not identically, equally important. Imagine the vegans of the future are very, very adamant about their beliefs. They're very, very, extreme about their beliefs. And they say, look, if you ate meat in the past, we condemn you. Anything you did, if you were, Leonardo da Vinci, he ate meat, scrap the Mona Lisa. We don't want it. That's how adamant they are about their veganism. What are they going to say about you? Well, they're going to say, you ate meat, you're a devil. But you're going to be like, hey, wait a second. It was the norm of the day. When I was a kid, they were feeding me meat. They told me I needed it to grow big and strong, and they convinced me with all these things. That was the norm of the day. We don't see meat eaters as evil. Okay, so what I'm telling you is, in ancient times, in medieval times, the life expectancy for a human being, look this up, was 33. On the globe, everywhere in ancient times, from ancient times to medieval times, as soon as you got your puberty, you were married off. You were not going to school. There was no education. You didn't have a career or a job if you were a woman. Your job was to have babies. If you had babies, which you did, if you could have babies, if you couldn't have babies, oh man, your life was tough. If you were a barren woman, nobody wanted you. They didn't have medicine like we have today. A woman gets pregnant, she has no. You have to get married. You have to get married and pregnant immediately because the chances of survival are very slim. For those of you who don't know, your chance of death if you have 10 children, 5 of them will survive. Your chances of death are massive. Childhood is brutal. In ancient and medieval times, from ancient times to medieval times, brutal. Guys, a lot of you guys are not in the know about this. If you were born in a city, your chances of survival were brutal. The ancients knew that. They would take their children and make them live in suburban areas because the city, don't forget, these people didn't have sewers. Still, your chances of survival were slim. Most people died young, died often. Okay, people died all over the place. Imagine if you ever took penicillin, you were dead. How many things would have killed you? Like now you're in modern times, modern medicine. in ancient times, many ailments you had would have killed you. So people got married. Women, not men. Men had to build. They had to build a career. They had to buy a house. They had to get ready to get married. Men got married later because they had to build resources. Women got married young. As soon as you hit puberty, you get married. Now, who do you get married to? Let me tell you guys something. You Instagram, TikTok generation, you might be shocked here. They weren't looking for looks. A lot of you guys are unfamiliar with history. In history, most of history, people didn't care about looks. They cared about, say it. What's the number one thing people cared about? Status. Status. The higher the status, the more attractive you were. Status equals survival. I'm married to this important person. Nobody will mess with me. And I have access to resources. Status, guys. Status was the number one factor for attraction. Status. Not female status. Female status was something, but male status. Still to this day, male status is very important. The higher the status, the more desired you were. Women got married as soon as puberty. Why? Think about it. Imagine you're 12 years old. You've reached about like half your life expectancy. Almost. You're at life. If you're 22 years old, you're considered old. You're an old person. You're going to die shortly. Life was short, nasty, and brutish. This is how Thomas Hobbes, a great philosopher, describes human history. Most of human history. Not today in our modern time. Let's call it medieval time and back. He described it as short, nasty, and brutish. That's how he described human life. A very prominent thinker. So, in Islam, there are many factors of how a woman gets married. 1, there should be no harm. 2, of course, she has to have puberty. 3, socially acceptable. All these criteria are filled. No problem. You can get married. Now, there are a few more criteria, but I'm only remembering these 3. No harm. Of course, she has to be an adult. Puberty. And 3, very important, socially accepted. Social times, the current times, this is acceptable. Now, today, women, they go to school. Women don't get married till 30. Think about that. When people used to die at the age of 30, now women start thinking it's time to get married. Why? But this is also very new because now women are educated. They go into the workforce. Think about it. You go to school for 15 years, 20 years. Okay, you finish, forget grade school. Then you go to school, you learn a trade, or you get a degree. Now you got this degree. It took you how many years now? You're in your mid-20s now. What am I going to do with this degree? Marry a guy and be a housewife? No, I'm going to go out in the work world. I'm going to go try my hand. Okay, well, you have a career. It's been 5 years, 6, 7 years. Now you're in your 30s, early 30s. I want to have a baby. Like, it's such a rush. Women's lives right now are such a rush. Like, it's crazy. Schooling. Workforce. Squeeze in a family between the two. Or right after. Like, it's very hard to fit family in this very difficult lifestyle that we live. Very difficult for us. So to us, we can't fathom, how the ancients did it. Like in Europe, just maybe 150 years ago, look up what the age of marriage was. You're going to be shocked. It's probably like 10 years old. Why? Because as soon as women hit puberty, they were married off. Why? There's nothing else to do. There's no schooling, education, workforce. There's none of that. Women stayed home. Guys, for those of you who don't know even like the basics of history, women didn't start going to work during the workforce until World War II. Why? Because all the men were at war in Europe. There was nobody to make ammunition, build tanks. They heavily encouraged women to go into the workforce. And then, of course, we had this massive boom after of women working in the workforce. Why? Because government loves taxes. You got 2 people paying taxes in each household. This is great. It's music to a government's ears. Initially, for those of you who are not in the know, women didn't want to work. Women did not want to work. And originally, women did not resisted the workforce. Now, today, it's a different paradigm. But initially, women did not want to go and start building tanks and ammunition and whatnot. Okay, guys, I had so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's pretty late for me, so I'm going to call it a night. But I wanted you guys to please like, share, and comment as always. And I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you.